Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Rod, Kimberly Schmidt, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMiles24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Kenna Bear, Fiber Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I also have a GoFundMe campaign that's currently running, if I can scroll my way to find the damn thing, in one of my links. And I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who have actually supported that campaign up until now. So a big shout of thanks and appreciation to Jason Doherty, Michael Seklovsky, an anonymous contributor, Matt and Rebecca Flowers, who have all supported the campaign thus far. So thank you very much indeed. I've definitely, or hopefully, got enough to cover at least the repair of one of the amps, which has now gone off for repair. So that's a relief that I have actually got the funds to cover that. Ideally, I would like to replace them. So if you did want to contribute to replace some of my aging studio equipment, I will actually make a comment on it, just based on a few commenters in the show notes or whatever comment section below some of these videos, where they said, do you actually need really high-powered amps to run the show? And the answer is no. No, I've bought them a long time ago as hi-fi amps and then have slowly converted the place into a studio. Does that mean as a small YouTuber I need them? No, not in the slightest. Could I use headphones? Yeah. But I've already got all of this equipment, and my intention is to downgrade it to hopefully more reliable, because it's newer equipment that can maintain and keep what I've already got, which is state-of-the-art, whatever you want to call it, as good as a studio is going to see. And I want to keep it that way. If you feel that it's more important that you see me in headphones, then fine, don't contribute. But by the same token, I'm just looking to replace what I've already invested in a long time ago. It's just aging and wearing, and I'm not going to entirely replace the system simply because funds don't permit. I am, in that regard, happy to put my hand out and say, yeah, I need help with replacing equipment that I've used to run the show to date. This is what has been used to run it. Anyway, with that all said, I'll just get those disclaimers out of the way. If you did not want to contribute financially to my GoFundMe campaign, then just share it. Smash it on a Facebook share or a Twitter share. That'd be really, really appreciated. Anyway, with that, I am going to hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set it for today's live show.
Or whatever it was called. It's in Skype still. Let me find it.
The Newsbenders.
Yeah, Newsbenders, yeah. BBC 1968, full show, Truth in Plain Sight. Yeah, that was good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it had quite a slow start to it, but yeah, I agree. It was good. It was recommended to me by the guy who sorted out this computer. Not the guy who bought it, but the guy who serviced it and got it all clipped up together.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he asked
So
me
it
if I
wasn't
wanted to go out
somebody
for a curry on Friday, and I'm like, I've got too much on being a flat full of mould. So I sorted that out. But yeah, a couple of days later, he just dropped me that, and I was like, oh, this is ace. Like I say, it had a bit of a slow start to it.
Yeah, but by the 10-minute mark, I was in.
Yeah, by about the 10-minute mark, it started getting really good.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Neil.
So wait, this guy.
Hold on a second. I want to
Hello,
level
Neil.
up because
So this guy was.
I've changed some of my audio settings. So I just want to level Neil up if that's possible. Neil.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you just tell us how your weekend's been?
My weekend has been fabulous. I know you're setting the sound, so I'll just keep talking. You just tell me when to shut up. Is that good?
Yeah, keep talking.
I want you to subscribe to my son's channel today, so I would like to plug that during the show,
Do it now.
if possible.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can do it
now?
now. You can plug it because I haven't vetted it. You can plug it in the pre-show, which is this.
Okay, so I posted it in right above where your link is. I don't even know what the name of it is. I think it's Jelly something. Hold on, let me find out. It'll take me 1 second. Okay, so it's called Space Jelly. That's the name of his channel. And what he does is he reviews
Space Jelly.
toys. What's that?
It's Space Jelly Reviews. 3 words.
Correct.
Space Jelly
Daily
Reviews.
here. Today I'm going
Thank
to be
you, Righteous.
reviewing the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie action figures. They both came in 2 packs, but I decided to review them all in one video because it would be easier and they're all kind of the same figure anyways. So I'm going to start off the video with a comparison. This is all of them roughly compared to each other, even though they're all in poses. It should be enough to gauge their height. So I'll start off with Leonardo. I'll compare him to a few other of the movie figures. This is him next to Shredder. Next to Splinter. Pretty decent height. And Casey Jones. I think this is a good height. This is them next to the second movie, Super Shredder. Move it back so you can see it.
Okay, I've subscribed to him.
I think he should.
I left him a comment as well, help him in the algorithm and all that.
Yeah, I sent him a comment too. I said Earth is obviously flat. My heliocentric son. Anyway, he's learning how to do it, and his cousin is trying to like motivate him because I think my nephew, which is his cousin, of course, is videotaping it. So he's trying to get him to open up a little. He's a bit shy. Just got to get into it, man. You got to get some life in your voice, no?
Maybe. I mean, it's early days, isn't it?
But on the other hand, I watched a few of those toy review ones, and that's how the people are. They're just very bland. I don't know.
No, right. It's his first video.
Yeah, I know. I'm hard. Like, you should have did this. You're cutting off the head. Bring it back more. Engage. Anyway, I'm next. So now my nephew is going to work on my channel.
Great
And
plug.
that should be fun.
Great plug. Plug is go and subscribe to got the name of the channel already. Space Jelly Reviews. Because it's awesome. And then you put a link. That's it, Neil.
Oh, I was still doing a plug. I'm sorry. Yeah, what Nathan said.
Yeah, great job. Great job.
Hey, if we're talking about plug-in channels, I've got a little channel I'm trying to. My daughter wants to get started.
Oh, really?
So she's been wanting to go on this. Yeah. So I just dropped the link. It's called the Hall Shenanigans. So it's just little clips of them doing dances and stuff like that. So I've only got 3 videos on it up so far, but you'll actually get to see my smiling face in one of them. So actually get to see what I look like. She also wants to do gaming videos where she's playing a game. She's been getting into Roblox a lot and Minecraft. So you might see some of those if I can figure out how to, get time to edit and record and all that fun stuff. So
I'll
just to
suggest
start.
my daughters are into this sort of stuff, so I'll get my daughter to subscribe.
Okay. Yeah, and it's obviously trying to keep it kid friendly. So
I'll subscribe just for the numbers, though. As in, I will subscribe also.
Sounds good. And you get to see both Jesse and Lily in one little short video I posted called the Mall Town Boogie. Them dancing in the mall.
Let's get this party started.
Very good.
That was the Dollar Tree rap because we were in the Dollar Tree.
I see. Very good.
Wow, I'm on my way to Dollar Tree right now.
Ah, such fun times with the
I'm
Dollar
up.
Tree.
Do you have those in UK?
Yeah, dollar stores where everything's £2 to £5.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So it's probably similar to what we have here. Yeah. My wife loves it. She discovered it. Now she goes there for all the ornaments, and if we need something for school, we go there first. So they're all over where I live, so they're everywhere.
Very good. Okay, can we stop sharing family videos now? Is that possible? Although the Mutant Ninja Turtle one's a review, so no offense, Paul. Because
Yeah, I
obviously
think
okay. It'll hopefully be better.
his second
better
one he
content
did
than that.
Batman.
his Ninja Turtles are directly related to Flat Earth, obviously.
I think his second one he reviews the Batman one. That's pretty cool. Well, that might have been his first one. I have no idea.
It was his first.
Again, Righteous.
The Batman one was the first video. Turtles second.
Okay. Very good.
Good morning.
Morning. How's it going?
Morning,
Morning,
Ted.
Tent.
Good, good.
Well,
I posted
thanks for the plug, Nathan.
chocolates.
We've already got a video for today.
Oh, chocolate suggested one on
Yeah.
Friday, so
Yeah,
I just
Matthew.
reposted it.
Something or other.
Yeah. Same one then.
Is it any good?
Well, he goes through top 3 arguments.
Is there top 3 arguments? Or expand on that a bit more? What do you mean?
Our top 3 arguments.
He goes through our top
Uh,
3 arguments. Oh, okay.
except for the elevation angle, but other than that, black swan, gas pressure without container. So you'll enjoy it.
Have a little listen.
Earth is flat? Wait,
Sure.
what? Why would you say that? There's no curvature, it's not spinning, and space is fake. But it's the 21st century. Are there still people who say that the Earth is flat?
Oh, is that your rebuttal to yourself? Is it himself? I can't even tell.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the 21st century. Was that his rebuttal?
Mm-hmm. So far, he goes into each argument.
Yes, there are.
Great
Do they have any
rebuttal.
evidence? They
They do. Yeah, we do.
do. Today, I'll describe that evidence and some of the other ideas of the modern flat Earth movement.
Ideas? You think celestial navigation's an idea? Or is it use the world over based on a flat Earth to find your way? These aren't ideas. These are practically applied things.
And then tell you what the typical mainstream science or glober responses are.
Mainstream or glober, those two things are totally different. A glober will hang out his own globe rhetoric to dry in a heartbeat if he thinks it'll overcome a flat Earth argument. So these two things that you've just detailed aren't the mainstream. So if you're going to now tell us that, for instance, gravity is a force, or it's not a force, or one of the convolutions of the two, like a global would, then that's not mainstream rhetoric, because mainstream rhetoric's just Einsteinian pseudo-Riemannian force space. But we'll get told it's a force all the time by globers.
Who are these people that actually say the Earth is flat?
Me.
I'll start by telling you who they aren't. They're not people just pretending to believe or trolling the internet just for fun. They really are sincere when they say that the Earth is not a globe. They're also not part of the Flat Earth Society, which started
I
in
already like this guy more than
1956
most of
and
them.
probably
So he's summarised quite accurately that, number one, we're not just bullshitting people. Number two, we're sincere. And number three, we're not part of the Flat Earth Society. Pfft, kudos, mate. You've immediately garnered much more respect than everyone I've ever responded to so far. Wouldn't you all agree?
I was just about to say that. That's pretty darn good.
Matthew, my friend, my hat is off to you. I salute you. At least you've recognised that.
We had less than 4,000 members at its peak in the 90s. Instead, this video will be about people in the current Flat Earth community who generally congregate on social media like Discord, Facebook, YouTube, and to a lesser degree maybe Instagram and Twitter. They've also had a couple of conferences. This is a fairly recent movement, with most of them joining the Flat Earth community within the past few years, like 2014 or later.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate so far.
Okay, so what's the evidence for Flat Earth? Here are 3 points commonly cited. 1, no curvature measured.
Whoa. So we're straight on to no curvature. That's a debunking of the globe claim, though, isn't it? The curve claim is a globe claim. So if you're going to say that's a flat Earth argument, I would disagree. Now, it might have a logical inference that goes along with it that you can use to say the Earth is flat, but that's not a flat Earth argument. No curvature is taking apart a claim that there is curvature. So the positive claim is the curvature. How is that a flat Earth argument? No curvature, that takes apart your claim, if your claim is that there is curvature. No rotation. How is that a flat Earth argument? What? How is that a flat Earth argument? No rotation. That's the antithesis of making an argument for flat Earth, isn't it? What the smeg has that got to do with the Earth and its shape or its flatness? It doesn't. But the positive claim is that there is rotation. Last but by no means, we've got the vacuum of space.
So it's flat. 2.
Vacuum impossible. What? That's your positive claim that the sky is a vacuum. None of these are flat Earth arguments. They're all globe debunkings.
No rotation measured, so it's non-spinning. And 3, the vacuum of space is impossible. Instead,
all of which are rebuttals to globe claims. Positive claim, curvature. Positive claim, rotation. Positive claim, vacuum of space. They're all rebuttals to your crappy arguments about living on a ball. None of these are flat Earth arguments. They're rebuttals to the globe claim.
There's a dome that holds in the air pressure.
Oh,
In order to
really?
present these arguments as fairly as possible.
Dome that holds in the air pressure? That's a generalisation, stereotyping fallacy that I'm definitely not going to be a part of. I don't say that. You said, who are these people? I answered you, me. Well, up until the point that you started strawmanning me with this stereotyping fallacy that I say there's a dome. No, I do not.
I'm going to play you some audio clips to let them speak for themselves.
Excellent.
You don't have a measurement of curvature, ever, in history, by anyone. We would need when, where, and how it was done. You don't have detection of any rotation, and space as you think of it cannot exist.
If you have an acumen with these 3 arguments, you can defeat the highest of their spinning ball space monkey priests.
You know, QE is now qualified that it's defeating, quote, their spinning ball space monkey priests. Sorry, comprende? This is not flat Earth arguments. They're globe debunkings. Did it not cross your mind that these are taking apart your positive claim as opposed to flat Earth arguments? They're not.
You'll reduce them to blubber.
Let's look at each of these 3 arguments in detail. First, the Earth has no curvature.
There is no measurable curvature. It's never been measured or demonstrated anywhere on the Earth.
There's no convexity of the surface. The model that was given to us, it's been shown time and time again not to be accurate. It doesn't line up with reality.
We have dozens and dozens of observations that demonstrate the curvature rate being falsified.
So they say not only has curvature never been measured, but you can see farther than you should be able to if this...
No. We don't say you can see farther than you're supposed to. You say there's a limit to your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's your positive assertion for where there will be a limitation to your view. The positive claim is that there's going to be a limit of Earth curve to your view. That's your claim. Why are you asserting our rebuttals back to us like they're flat Earth claims? Right? You need to prove that there is a physical geometric limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as based on your begging the question, proof of nothing, Earth curve calculator that assumes its outcome with an R value. Why are you throwing this up? This is your claim. When are you going to get to the flat Earth claims? So far, we're 2.5 minutes in. You haven't come to any flat Earth claims yet. You're just taking apart our rebuttals for your claim that you're supposed to be proving in the first instance as a positive assertion. It's your claim.
Surface were curved. For example, here's an image they call the Black Swan, which is a still image from a video taken at a height of 1 foot above the ocean surface. Since the horizon is visible behind those oil rigs, the Earth cannot be a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles. Why is it called the black swan? It comes from this idea. If someone says all swans are white, you can disprove that by showing just one black swan.
So if all horizons are physical Earth curve edges for boats to fall over and you to tell us with your maths how much they're going to block boats and buildings with, we only need to show one example of Earth curve not blocking things and it being behind the thing it's supposed to be physically obstructing to prove it's not a hill getting in the way. AKA black swan.
Similarly, to disprove the globe model, a single image that contradicts it is enough.
We falsified it with the black.
No. If the horizon is Earth curve, then it's got to be Earth curve, a hill getting in the way at all times. That's what you claim it is. It's got physical geometry in the Earth curve. Maths you showed that went along with your claim that you make. Right. So that means that there's a hill, according to your claim, that gets in the way. The moment you show it's not a hill getting in the way, that's the end of the claim. No, it isn't a hill getting in the way, is it? Therefore, no Earth curve geometry to assert. You can't measure it, you can't see it.
Swan. The horizon's actually 10 times farther than it should be.
You see, this dick saying it's further than it should be is an idiot who doesn't understand that he hasn't quite relinquished his globe faith. Because how far it should be is based on how far globe proponents claim it should be. Now, bless his little cotton socks, he hasn't realised that he hasn't relinquished that's you, the videographer Matthew in this instance, your assertion that Earth is a sphere based on mathematics of an Earth curve calculator, when you say that FE claims are the ones that take apart your claim that hills get in the way of oil rigs when they don't.
Based on the radius, this photograph is physically impossible.
That's true.
Next is rotation. We know the Earth isn't spinning because we don't feel it rotating, and rotation has never been measured.
I now claim to be able to prove conclusively that we are living on a stationary Earth and enjoying the multitude of benefits of a traveling sun.
We can also use lack of Coriolis effect on airplanes like this.
Dumbo, lack of Coriolis on aeroplanes? Oh dear, that probably wasn't the best idea, Matthew, because I'm going to now rip you a new asshole. Aeroplanes and Coriolis effect, they're the projectile. When it comes to Coriolis effect, Matthew, you complete clown show with over 500,000 views, it's only capable of being observed if you're turning underneath projectiles and seeing them seem to drift. So when you say the effect on an aeroplane, it's a not actual effect, it's an illusion. You don't detail it in terms of what the projectile, in this case aeroplane, does, demonstrating admirably that Matthew hasn't got the slightest idea what Coriolis is. It's an illusion only capable of being observed as you turn beneath things. Yeah, it's not a drift in aeroplanes, you clown.
The Coriolis effect is true, and we know it is, and if the Earth is rotating, then the Charlotte to Los Angeles flight at an airspeed of 500 miles an hour must be 1.5 hours. Must be. It's not and never will be. Ergo, the Earth is not spinning. Done. Zero. Nada.
The third argument is that the vacuum of space is impossible. The idea of the
Our third argument. These are globe debunkings. These aren't our arguments that we're putting forward for a flat Earth. They're your positive claims of a sphere Earth in a sky vacuum without gas dispersing into it being refuted. That's not our claim. That's a debunking of your claim.
atmosphere of Earth being next to the vacuum of space is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, so space doesn't exist.
Anything from space is a second law of thermodynamics violation. Space is claimed to be a vacuum, and the air we breathe here on Earth would absolutely increase in entropy and fill the available space.
Therefore, there is some kind of dome holding in the air.
Sorry, where did he say that? I didn't hear him say. Did anyone else hear him say that? Asshole, why are you putting words in the man's mouth? He didn't say that. Therefore, is that your conclusion, Matthew? It seems to be. It says Matthew, : Therefore, some sort of dome. Do you want to prove your dome, Matthew? You better damn well add do, because he didn't say that, did he? You did. Therefore, it's your claim. So you better prove your dome that you say is there. What?
Sorry, it sounds like he's making assumptions, boy.
Yeah, sounds like he's an asshole putting words in people's mouths that they haven't said. Therefore, according to Matthew, we've got a dome. Oh, really? What's the dome made of, Matthew? You going to tell us what it's made of? How high is this dome that you say, therefore, there is? No, containment. It's an antecedent-consequent relationship for gas to have something to press on, to form pressure. Yeah? I didn't say dome. Neither did he. You did. So prove your dome.
So we have gas pressure around us that we breathe. Didn't you know the necessary antecedent for gas pressure is a closed container?
Notice he said container. Where did he say dome? He didn't say dome, he said container. Yeah, absolutely 100% accurate, as you absolutely require containment to achieve gas pressure. Cite NASA. The force exerted on the walls of the container, end quote, NASA. Yeah, it's easily citable.
Although if you want to get technical, space is nothing more than a concept, so it can't be real in the sense of physical reality. It's literally an idea of an area, which dimensions, which is how we measure physical matter. So when there's not any matter there, it's just a description known as another concept. So we're going to conceptually describe a concept, and then, you know, in clown world of heliocentrism, actually apply physical properties, being bending and warping, to this concept that we describe with other concepts.
There are a lot more than these three. In fact, one of the early catalysts of this modern movement is Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs video, and later a book. But I'll start with just these three. First, mainstream science says that curvature can be observed. Although we sometimes can see farther than expected, that's because images can be distorted by the atmosphere depending on the...
Let's just start with this first problem. Skip back a little bit.
But I'll start with just these three. First, mainstream's
curvature. Anybody tell me where the photograph taker is in this picture? This looks like a picture of a horizon with a load of shit pasted all over the top of it and a load of writing. Yeah? What is this? I can't even tell what it is. Looks like you're presenting a horizon to me. Yeah, if it was a horizon, if the Earth was a sphere, then every distance to that horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height, as laid down in your begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. But that's not what the calculator does in terms of the mathematics, because it's not referencing a horizon as we see it. It's referencing a Muppet Vision representation.
Although we sometimes...
No, what he actually did was show the curve from left to right. That's not how it's calculated in the maths he threw up earlier. So what's he babbling about when it's about a physical obstruction in his mathematics that's taking place in orthographic view?
Farther than expected.
So the photograph he just showed did not contain the observer's eyeball. That was not observed. Nor did we see the side of the hill in side profile Muppet Vision. Nor did we see the target with a complete omission of angular size representation. That's perspective. This would be an eyeball that's about, I don't know, about 1,000 feet high. More than that. It's probably about a 5 mile high eyeball with about, what, a 20 mile high building across about 7,000 miles of Earth surface in Muppet Vision. Yeah, we don't see the world like this, you stupid clown. When have you ever taken a photograph, like the ones you just presented, and seen the side of your own fucking head in the photo? And that's because your mathematics for an Earth curve that gets in the way at this physical geometric obstruction called a hill, yeah, that's going to be behind the obstruction in the Black Swan, not in Muppet Vision, in reality. Meanwhile, we don't see this. We don't see sides of targets that are absolutely massive on the other side of a hill. We just see the horizon. That's not what you're presenting, though, is it? Your Muppet Vision maths doesn't work that way.
Images can be distorted by the atmosphere depending...
Atmo what now? Are you going to beg the question that we've got sphere-shaped air? I thought you were going to get to how we have gas pressure without a container, and yet you're already begging the question that air is sphere-shaped. So what, when you say 7/6 terrestrial refraction based on a rate of an R value, that's what atmospheric refraction is, my friend. That automatically begs the question that air is arbitrarily sphere-shaped. It isn't! You know how gas behaves? It takes the shape of its container. It doesn't arbitrarily take a sphere shape for you to ascribe an R value to an atmospheric refraction that has absolutely sod all to do with how we see the horizon when you're showing 7/6 of a radius with no tangent applicable anymore. How are you going to get the geometry for Earth curve edges when you bend the tangent? Further to that, we don't see our own eye. And further to that, you're using an R-based value that shows nothing to do with atmosphere, sphere-shaped air. It doesn't have any air. It's got the side of your own head, though.
On the weather conditions.
Weather conditions or 7/6 of a radius in Muppet Vision. Because the mathematics for what you're showing doesn't have anything to do with weather conditions and everything to do with an R-base value derived from physical geometry that you can't get when you bend this line. You've no longer got geometry if you're bending this line. You haven't got a tangent point for your geometry anymore, you utter clown.
Especially right next to the water. This time-lapse shows...
Sorry, is this seeing the side of your own head like your maths? Why is it that when we cut to physical reality, we're no longer excluding perspective and seeing the side of our own heads? Could it be that you're begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator showed these buildings absolutely enormous 7,000 miles on the other side of a hill with a bent line that won't give you a tangent? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this doesn't include the side of my own head now, does it?
Shows how much things can change over the course of just a few hours.
Really? Well, how's that got anything to do with atmospheric sphere-shaped air and 7/6 in standard form of atmospheric refraction? Because that's got sod all to do with anything to do with the weather and everything to do with an R value that requires you have a straight line to a tangent point horizon.
So it's hard to measure anything useful.
Really? Well, why are you measuring that as Earth curve if it's hard to measure things usefully? So you're saying that when they claim that we're measuring things being blocked by boats and buildings that are blocked by Earth curve, that's actually very difficult. No, it's not impossible unless you show the maths in Muppet Vision and the side of your own head, and you remove all aspects of perspective by giving the feet and inches value of things that change in angular size. Feet and inches doesn't do that. Like your building that didn't change. It remained an obscenely large building, 7,000 miles on the other side of Earth curve. What are you going to say, not to scale? That's because your feet and inches value don't change with distance in Earth curve maths. Yet we have perspective. That's not accounted for in your stupid maths that shows you the side of your own head. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nathan. Good to have you. Yeah, well, it's good to have you.
Let me tell you something. That was a great video. That
We're
guy.
not done yet.
I know, but so far it's really good. This guy's making crazy assumptions. He's just assuming everything. The one bad part was Witsit was in it. Should have edited that out.
Why?
What bad part was what?
Why?
Yeah, Witsit was in it, that one part.
Stop holding grudges.
I don't hold grudges. Not a grudge.
Oh, you just said it. Why do you mean you don't hold grudges?
I said the only bad part was Witsit was in it.
What was it bad?
How's
What
that
did
a
he say
grudge?
that was? What was it? Okay. What did he say that was bad?
What he says after that. So if people go to his channel, then all of a sudden they're listening to dielectric acceleration.
Oh my gosh! So
10th man, can I have an opinion, please?
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Sane, Adam Meakin, Eli, Neil, Arwin, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Afternoon, everyone.
Yo.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good to have you. Do a quick shout out to all of you supporting my GoFundMe campaign so far. So, quick shout out to James Doherty, Michael Siklovotsky, an anonymous contributor, Matt, and Rebecca Flowers for all supporting my campaign. Please support the campaign. Hopefully someone from the moderating team will stick a link to it in the Discord chat. I've just got some 10 or 15-year-old amps that have gone bang, and hopefully I'm looking to replace them with something a bit more modest, and I'd hope to get your help to do so. With that, I'm going to ask a couple of housekeeping questions, then we're going to get back into what we were covering in the pre-show, which is a chap whose link I will share once we get going. But in the meantime, is there any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No.
What about
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
What about any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
It's evidence of a harder inner ball.
Yeah, it started spinning backwards the other.
According to Michio Kaku, I mean, it's true because they made it up themselves.
Yeah, so when I say evidence, I mean there's a new fairy tale.
Certainly something we've covered in past shows, but other than Michio Kaku's claim that it's now solid and rotating the opposite direction, is there any evidence beyond his fantasy story? No? Okay, well, let's move on. So this is a video by, what's the guy's name? Let's just have a look. Matthew Weathers is the name of the channel. So obviously, in the spirit of YouTubing, I'm going to share his video because I would hope that should he respond to me directly, as opposed to the people he's taking clips from, he'd do the same for me and share my link and explain that, you know, when, or you should, the audience that is, explain to him when you get there. Nathan Oakley, 1980, and all the panel members who responded to your video recently sent me, love your work, left you a like, all that sort of stuff. So I've shared Matthew's link in the live stream chat. So yeah, just go along, let him know that I sent you, and how lovely his work is and how wonderful it is to be there, as I'm sure he would do for me. Anyway, we're going to cover the rest of his video. So we've already covered his preamble, which is to say, up until this point, he's laid down our claims, if you will. That's flat earthers, in some instances stereotyped, some instances not. In some instances, you've got him putting words in the mouths of people who aren't saying things he's saying with his conclusions that we've ascribed to him. But we're up to the point where he's basically laid out axial rotation, black swan, and gas pressure without a container as, quote, flat earth arguments, when they're not, they're globe debunkings. Nevertheless, we're going to carry on, and you can share with me in my outrage. Anybody else got anything to add before I start?
I'll just add that this is the video that D-Rose brought up the other day. So that's why I seeked it out and found it. So that's why we're here.
Right near the horizon, especially directly over water. Remember, we're talking about very slight differences here. If light bends over a curve even just 0.01 degrees per
If light bends over a curve, what, like, as in atmospheric sphere-shaped air refraction, where it's definitely bending at a rate of the radius? That's sort of if it's bending around a curve. Now, that's a begging the question fallacy. Yeah, your whole basis of this claim to try and refute the black swan is based on atmosphere, that's sphere-shaped air, and the light traversing that assumption of sphere-shaped air at a rate of the radius of Earth. That's what your assumptions are.
mile, a curved surface can look perfectly flat. In the black...
So it's an excuse for how flat it's going to look. Meanwhile, you've got physical geometry that claims there should be a hill blocking these two oil rigs. It's just that simple. Hills don't physically move behind the things they block. That doesn't happen. If you're in the audience listening to this bullshitter tell you that it's making it look flat, really? So if you've got a hill between you and something that's behind it, is there ever a case that you've come out one day, looked at the hill, and looked at the thing that's formerly behind it in front of the hill? Does that ever happen to anybody ever? Because that's essentially what it's claiming. The hill that was Earth curve that should be blocking its view, based on my maths that says it's going to get in the way, is just being bent to the point where it's behind the thing that it was supposed to block. Refraction does that, does it? No, refraction doesn't do that, and 7/6 of a radius value, that's your sphere-shaped air refraction that you begged the question of, doesn't do that either.
Black swan argument.
Say,
Flat Earth.
Nathan,
Go.
last time I checked, light doesn't bend. Seems
No.
a very strange claim that he's going to use his scientific knowledge, and the first thing he's claiming is that light bends. He may try and do it, as we've discussed before, with Snell's law, incidence angles, to create turns, but in all instances, the light's still travelling in a straight path. It's then subject to an angular change. What it doesn't do is travel a curve. Yet that seems to be the premise of his claim, to explain why we're seeing this ball, but it looks flat, because light now curves.
Yeah, because he begged the question of sphere-shaped air earlier on. He just said, well, light in the atmosphere. Whoa. Light in the sphere-shaped air? We don't have sphere-shaped air. It's stupid. It's an oxymoron.
The best thing for anybody that might be new or like normies listening to this is to try to understand that, like Nathan just pointed out, right? He's got claims. The globe has claims, right? He's claiming that it's curved, but listen to him tell you how it looks flat. Same thing with rotation. The globe has a claim of axial rotation, but in this video, he will tell you how that claim is not substantiated in any way because you can't see it, can't feel it, can't measure it, right? That this is what they do. They come up with excuses as to why their claims cannot be validated.
Fail.
Authors are saying that since light doesn't bend enough.
Go on.
No, I just wanted to add, it's the same thing. I mean, same thing I had Dave McKeegan on in his comment section. He basically just exposed himself. I had him at the horizon. I mean, they have claims, but then they just make excuses why you can't see the horizon specifically. So he flip-flopped from it being geometric to non-geometric. So, yeah, they expose themselves.
Exactly. And that's the trick. That's the okie doke they use. Oh, you're silly because you don't believe my claim of curve. But yeah, let me tell you all about how you can't see or measure that curve. Right? It might have worked in 2015, but it's 2023. They need to get their shit together. Sorry, go ahead.
Enough, it's impossible on a globe. But globers are saying that if light bends even just that 0.01 degree.
If we beg the question that light bends in sphere-shaped air, so he's immediately disclaimed the begging the question fallacy that globers use. So if we assume that light's bending at the rate of the radius, yeah, that's a shit sandwich of begging the question fallacies. Earth's a sphere with a radius and light bends at the rate of it? No, my friend. Sphere-shaped air. Go on.
Oh, this is going to be a feast of fallacies. Let me tell you. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
No, he just keeps saying it like it's a fact that light bends. And it's the whole premise of what's going to render his ball to look flat. This false claim that light bends.
Light doesn't bend. What's he talking about?
Don't know.
Degrees per mile, that would explain the picture. And anyway, it seems to me that flat Earth.
Why are we seeing the side of our own head again? What gives? Why are we seeing the side of our own head? The world doesn't present itself to me like this, my friend. However, what this does give you as a globe-believing muppet is the ability to ignore perspective. Because a 6-foot man and a 100-foot building remain that size at all distances. Yeah, like in your original diagram where you've got an absolutely massive building behind a 7,000-mile long distance with a 50-mile-high wall of earth curve hill in the way between them in Muppet vision. Yeah, in your maths, it would still just be a 100-foot building and it'd still just be a 6-foot man, even though you've got a 100-foot eyeball. Yeah? So the perspective's removed from Muppet vision. That's why you keep flipping between the world view that we actually see. That doesn't include the side of my own smegging head, I'll add. And this view that you've hijacked perspective with. So what gives? Did you not notice that this isn't how we see the world while you start making your apologetics when you beg the question that there is sphere-shaped air and there is light traversing the sphere-shaped air at a rate of the radius because it's atmospheric refraction? Doesn't sound like you know what you're talking about, mate. It sounds like you've been hoodwinked like all the other Muppets we deal with on a daily basis because you're just begging the question alongside them. Yeah, you're not doing anything. Shout out to Original D-Rose. Thank you, Nathan Oakley, FED, for doing this video exposing Matthew. Ain't learned a darn thing because he's had a liar. Because he's a liar. I don't know about that. I mean, I can't ascribe him being a liar. It's just a delusional idiot as far as I can see so far, D Rose, but I really appreciate all the support so far. You've been very, very supportive financially. So thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate it. Okie dokie. Right, where's my button? That one.
Earthers would need light to be bending to explain sunsets over the ocean. Andrew Young at San Diego State has a page with more details, and he says if conditions...
Oh, he says in the first part of this document that there's a tangent point at G. You scroll past it real fast. But the basis of this mathematics requires that you have a tangent point geometric horizon. That's what the maths is based on. Let's see what his next shot diagram shows.
Are exactly right.
Oh, check it out. You scroll past that one pretty quick too. The next one shows that we've got two horizons. You notice how I know Andrew Thomas Young's bullshit with it just flashing by in an instant. You don't keep it on screen for very long, I see. Very interesting. This diagram, ladies and gentlemen, quite specifically shows not one, but two horizons. G, the one that was in the diagram previously, that the R value he's bending light at a rate of the radius in atmospheric refraction is based on and needs to be measured. And also H, the second horizon that we all see. The non-geometric one with a bent line to it that eradicates his geometric necessity for a tangent point. Notice how I've ripped this a new one just with it flashing by.
It's possible to see things along a curved surface up to...
Is it? Along a curved surface that we're assuming? How have we proved that we've got a curved surface to begin with when Andrew Thomas Young said it's possible to see things looking flat on a curved surface? Yeah, he does tell us how flat we can see things, doesn't he? Doesn't mean that your mathematics based on sphere-shaped air and atmospheric refraction with an R in it needs to have a tangent point to get R. You dumbo. Quick shout out to Godzilla37 who says, you know you're on a spinning ball because of how flat and motionless it is. You know Santa's real because of all the presents under the tree in the morning. Right on, thank you for the super chat. Go ahead, was it chocolate? Trying to get worded?
Yeah, one of the last times I encountered this guy on 24/7, he brought up Andrew Thomas Young. And I had to ask him, did you also realize that Andrew Thomas Young said he did all his refraction calculations on a flat plane? And he didn't get that. He didn't realize that his man that he basically said, oh yeah, this guy proves that we live on a ball, said he did all his refraction calculations on a flat plane. So where did he get this flat plane from if we live on a ball? He wasn't aware of that at the time. I don't know if he's aware of it now, but yeah, he needed to be reminded of that.
Oh, well, we're addressing him directly right now. So Clown Show, who assumes sphere-shaped air, atmosphere, begging the question, R values to bend light at the rate of a radius value. Matthew, Weathers, we're telling you, and you have been told by Chocolate, the guy who just explained that he'd already told this to you, that you're Andrew Thomas Young begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, and geometry destroying bent tangent point, donkey dick horizon, second horizon that we don't see, has been utilising flat plane measurements for the actual refraction research he did. None of this took place on a sphere when he did the actual practical demonstrations that he claims to have done. They all took place on a flat Earth. He disclaimed that. Yeah, so where are
Can I ask you a question?
You could after I was done ranting him, but go ahead.
When was the video? When was this video? How long ago?
One year ago.
Yeah, he should know that by now. Continue.
Just a quick question. On the screen there, he seems to be making a claim of, there you go, a curved surface up to 750 kilometers away. Saying you can see things. I don't know if you can just read before you restart, just go back a few seconds just so I can hear that.
To explain sunsets over the ocean. Andrew Young at San Diego State has a page with more details, and he says if conditions are exactly right, it's possible to see things along a curved surface up to 750 kilometers away.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So just put that in context. That's 466 miles, which would mean if you're looking at something 466 miles away, you're dealing with 27 miles of curvature. Not feet anymore. 27 miles of drop.
If if we beg the question of a sphere-shaped air and atmospheric refraction, we can see hundreds of miles away on a sphere. Sorry.
Hundreds of miles away and tens of miles down.
I see. And how much of Andrew Thomas Young's detailed papers in an orthographic representation of a world where you have the side of your own head in the mathematics that you're calculating for things that you see when you haven't got this side of your own head in view, how much of the Rayleigh criterion, angular resolution limit, diffraction, did he actually take into account, I wonder, with his geometry that he broke when he bent the tangent line? Just so you know, tangent lines in geometry don't bend. You know, you need them to be straight. And if the line to the horizon, that's your Earth curve tangent point for your maths, is bent, then you don't have any geometry anymore. So all of your claim that it's a bent line to the horizon, as per Andrew Thomas Young, means that you can no longer measure a physical geometric limitation to give you Earth curved mathematics. Where'd you get R from if you've got a bent line to the horizon? I ask you, Matthew. And I tell you, you don't. If all lines to the horizon are bent, then you've never, ever, ever got the capability or possibility of measuring the geometry of Earth with a radius of 3959. Therefore, the very means of begging the question of sphere-shaped air, which has an R in it, is no longer capable of being measured to give you 7/6R terrestrial refraction, Matthew. I mean, maybe you haven't been paying close enough attention. Quick shout out to Effie Patriot. He says, Flat Earth has successfully made controlled opposition out of globers. Their arguments provide great lead-ins to educate the masses. Yeah, and the amount of love I've got for changing the way this show's formatted and just dealing with the odd fundy that comes in, because they're so outraged at us pulling apart something like this, that's been, you know, well received. People are more than happy to sit and listen to us do this and pull apart their rhetoric while they're not here. And by the way, you're still welcome to step in at any moment you like, you know, with or without Fight the Flat Earth there as a babysitter. The door's always open. You know, you can come in en masse if you want to, like at the beginning of the shows, like back in the early days of Flat Earth debate when you all rolled in en masse. You can still do that if you want to. Like I say, or with Fight the Flat Earth as your babysitter.
Next, flat earthers say we don't feel rotation, and they're correct. But that's
Why? Why wouldn't we feel it, Adam? Do you want to roll the maths past him? Because we would feel it if it was true.
Sorry, I just clicked it. Just on the phone there, mate. Sorry.
The guys just said we wouldn't feel it. Yeah? There'd be a calculable force. Adam calculated it.
Oh, that, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there would certainly at different latitudes, that force would also apply differently in respect to the rotating surface you're on and what latitude you're at. So it's only at the equator you would weigh less, while this force that they define happens, which would oppose their supposed gravity force. If you come to somewhere like England, instead of being able to jump up higher, you'd be able to jump at 45 degrees higher. That would be the angle of the force applied to you. But those forces within their own Newtonian mechanics should exist if the Earth is a rotating sphere.
It seems we know your metric better than you do, Matthew.
We also have a vestibular system that allows us to feel things like that, like motion, acceleration.
Yeah, well, that's why we know it's real, because we don't feel
it. Exactly.
Yeah, we have ways of detecting motion. That's your body, your inner ear is very well tuned to do that. We're not feeling it because it's not happening. You know, shouldn't you be showing us how the two reference frames and Coriolis deflection as Earth turns underneath as a second reference frame? That's the globe claim. Why are you telling us that we just wouldn't feel it when Adam's just giving you the calculations for how we'd calculate it based on your claim that it's there? So that's not correct. But the actual globe claim is a Coriolis deflection. 15 degrees an hour is the claim. Why aren't you starting with that, given that you're starting by claiming these are flat Earth proofs or something, which they're not.
And notice how he smoked it out real quick, right? He said, flat earthers claim that we won't feel the rotation, which we don't. The disclaimer right away, which we don't. Okay, so now you're going to prove how there's movement that we don't feel, and it just happens because we don't feel it. Okay, thanks, Matthew.
Did he say that flat earthers claim we won't feel it?
He's done it the whole video.
Huh?
Every time there's a globe
this is
claim that
going
we
to
take
be a
apart,
feast of fallacy. This whole video. Sorry.
every time he presents, third time's charm. Every time he presents a claim that is actually a globe claim that we've taken apart, he claims it like it's a flat earther's claim. He's like as dumb as Simon Dan. What's he going to say next? You and your reference frames are ruined.
That's because Earth is rotating so slowly.
1,000 miles an hour in velocity at the Earth's claimed to be equator. Think that's slow? You're going to give it as in revolutions per minute so that it seems slow when the rim velocity is how fast it's going. 1,000 miles an hour is not slow.
At a rate of 0.000696 RPM. Yes, that translates to more than 1,000 miles per hour at the equator.
Sorry, that's faster than anybody can go in any vehicle on Earth currently. What are you talking about? Who's going 1,000 miles an hour? But you say it's slow, faster than any human's gone. What the hell is he babbling about?
That's exactly what he said. It's slow, but it's going 1,000 miles per hour. Thanks, Matthew.
Yo, dickhead! Do you think 1,000 miles an hour is slow? I'll stick you in a catapult and fire you at 1,000 miles an hour, and I'll just justify it by saying it's very slow.
Equator. But remember, we humans cannot sense speed.
Sorry, us humans can't sense speed? Are you absolutely insane? Yeah, I can detect speed. Chocolate just explained the I can't say it with a cold. Vestibular system. Yeah, we can.
We can only feel acceleration and rotation.
That's what rotation would give you.
And the other rotations around the sun and around the galactic core?
That you've assumed. Why have you demonstrated these to be true? Have you demonstrated that orbital motions assumed by Kepler are true? No, my friend. Kepler developed these orbital motions to appease the church. They're not real just because you've said them, when they were just invented by a man who was trying to appease the church in terms of when Easter came.
He's a bad man. Look at that now. I was going to like the first one when he said he's claiming RPMs of speed to make these small numbers. His galactic center one, that's not a speed. It has no speed. It's just an angular rate, which doesn't apply to anything to give a speed because you've not got a size. So you've not got anything for it to play out in. Hence why tiny little RPM for the Earth, which translates to 1,000 miles an hour. I'd like to see if he does the conversion for his not for his galactic center, because that's going to be one hell of a speed, isn't it? As small as the angle is.
Yeah, but also he claims that we say we'll feel no movement. All ballers, that's all they say, is that we wouldn't feel movement.
No, we don't say anything. And if somebody asked me if I was feeling anything when I was sat still, I go no. Right? But that doesn't make it a positive claim by me that we don't feel anything. I don't need to prove that, do I? Especially given that you're saying we don't feel anything as well. I mean, it's wrong. We'd be able to measure it. Part of the globe claim is how we'd measure it with 2 reference frames. It's called Coriolis deflection. So, no, you're just wrong, but you're an idiot because you're claiming it like we have a claim of non-motion. That's not even a positive claim. It's not even positive. He's just an idiot.
Pendulums.
Say again, Duncan?
Pendulums, Nathan. Pendulums.
What about them?
They of course measure the spin. Anybody can see if you hang a ball from a ceiling and you swing it around, it'll swing around forever. Everybody knows that.
That's not a pendulum. Pendulum's inherent property is that it goes back and forth. So if you're going to say pendulums, okay. What I understand a pendulum does is it swings back and forth. That's its only motion. Okay. So how does that prove Earth spinning? You explain to me.
Well, because if it moves indefinitely, that means Earth's spinning.
If it moves indefinitely?
When do pendulums move indefinitely?
What about all the boxing
so because
it
constantly moves it.
Shut up.
Sorry, I was just saying because it moves constantly and never stops moving, that means Earth is spinning.
We don't
I
experience
think, right?
that.
I mean, is that how it goes, or
no?
It's not how pendulums work. No.
Oh, okay. Then I'm
spring
wrong.
is
I'm sorry
subject to
interrupt.
decay. Yeah.
I think he's being facetious.
And
But the
Yeah,
beautiful part
totally.
is,
Sorry, I missed the joke.
I've got a
Nah,
cold. I'm not on it. Sorry, dude.
I realised
nah,
you were
I got
joking.
you, bro.
And I was
But the
talking
best part of
first.
this, right, is that we are in complete agreement that neither of us, globe side or flat earth side, feel the movement. But one of us is going to come up with a reason as to why we don't feel that, instead of just saying, well, we don't feel it because we're not moving. Which one of us is that going to be? Oh, that's going to be Matthew. Go ahead, Matthew.
Quick shout out to Uncle Ben. She gives me money. Thank you very much for the support, Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben. Really a bit more around it.
Are even less of a factor. Do you think a tiny ant standing on the hour hand of a clock would notice it moving? That hour hand is rotating at twice the rate compared to the daily rotation of the Earth.
Oh, really? You think that the outside edge of a clock goes at 2,000 miles per hour? Wow, you really are stupid. You see, when you talk about edge velocity, that's the speed that the ant would be going on the outside edge of the hand. What you've done is you've convoluted the RPM with the rim velocity. Now, the outside edge of a clock hand, just because you can describe it with a very low RPM and say it's faster than the RPM of Earth, doesn't alter the fact that on the outside edge of Earth, you'd be travelling at 1,000 miles an hour, and that is definitely not the speed that an ant would be travelling on the outside edge of a hand. You're just a con man. Like a shyster, a liar, a scumbag? No, it's a little magic trick that you've just had with your audience, because you've just told them that an ant on the outside edge of a hand is going slower than 1,000 miles an hour, and 1,000 miles an hour is actually very slow. That makes you stupid. Like, dumb. An idiot. No, the outside edge of a clock hand isn't going faster than 1,000 miles an hour, and definitely isn't twice the rim velocity that we don't feel.
Finally, what about air pressure? Again,
A pressure, that would be the force exerted on the walls of the container. End citation, NASA. What about the force exerted on the walls of a container?
and flat earthers are correct about pressure requiring a container, but
That's the end of the argument. We're right about it needing a container. That's the end. Bye-bye, Globe Earth. You don't have a container.
only on
No,
small
you
scales.
Play that
Oh, whoa,
part
whoa.
again.
He said only on large scales. Sorry, what the hell are you babbling about? You think that laws of nature only apply on the large scale?
Nathan, can I just go back to the previous one? So that claim where he's tried to have the clock, the ant on the
Is
clock,
rotating at twice
on
the
the hour
rate
hand.
compared to the daily rotation of the Earth.
He's just tried to do that comparison there. So we've got the 1,000 miles at the equator that he's trying to compare it to. And he showed that the angular change is smaller for the ant. But if we were to convert those figures into miles per hour, then you've got 1,000 miles per hour, but the ant is going at 0.0004971 miles per hour. So maybe at 0.00005 miles per hour, the ant wouldn't notice it. It's exceptionally slow, isn't it? Exceptionally as a speed.
Yeah, but that's a convolution in mathematics to deceive the audience, making this guy just a fraud, a liar, a scumbag, a wanker, a guy that's more than happy to lie to his audience with maths and make the clock hands seem like they're going slower than 1,000 miles an hour because he's described that as slow. Oh, really? No, you're just a scumbag liar, because that's not slower.
Yeah, that's the indictment. He's not put the speed on screen, he's put the angular change to imply that one's slower than the other. But when you do the maths, it does demonstrate his falsehood. He's trying to hoodwink you.
Yeah,
trying to make out one showing you one's slower than the other when it's the complete reverse by showing an expression as RPM to make his point. That's I would consider a straight lie.
Yeah, it's just fraud. Just scummy fraud, shyster behaviour from a scammer. Just a scammer lying to his audience with numbers, trying to convince them that clock hands move slower than 1,000 miles an hour. No, just a scummy, fraudulent liar. That's what you are, Matthew. Yeah? By the way, make sure you go to Matthew's channel, like I would expect in return when he covers this video, if he covers it, or if anybody who we cover covers us in response. I'd hope that he would share my link And with the same encouragement that I've given my audience, let Matthew know. Tell him Nathan Oakley 1980 and crew responded to your wonderful video. Yeah, the one where you're a shyster, fraudster, scammer, liar with your numbers about angular velocity versus rim velocity. I mean, that just seems like a scummy, underhanded, scammy tactic. You know, from your typical bull-believing wanker who will lie to your face. Like this man, the liar known as Matthew Weathers. That's you, my friend, you wrinkly old scumbag.
Finally, what
Just
about air
another
pressure?
old okey doke.
Say again, Chocolate.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's just another. I hear that and I just hear the just another old okey doke, right? Same way they do with, let's say, I don't know, Coriolis, where they convolute the non-inertial reference frame, meaning the ground, with the projectile. Well, this one, what do? They convolute the angular velocity with tangential speed. Just say, oh yeah, look, it's slower. It's literally the same thing. It's ridiculous.
With the gas pressure, Nathan, did he say it only works on, it only needs to contain them on large scales? Did I
On
hear
small,
that correct?
only on small scales. This is on
Oh,
large
small
scales.
scales.
He's about to say it now.
Again, flat earthers are correct about pressure requiring container, but
There's no but. It's a law of nature. Yeah, your model violates this law of nature. So, but only on small scales. Therefore, the massive scale of Earth with the massive amount of gas and the massive amount of volume for the natural law that is entropy to take place. That's dispersion. And has been taking place up until the Kármán line, according to your own descriptions of a sphere Earth in a vacuum. They stop taking place because it's suddenly too big. You think entropy stops at a big scale, do you, clown? No, definitely not.
Is that not what refracted curvature's been using as a tongue-in-cheek response? That's a large distance problem. And is that not what he's just saying?
Yeah, the problem with this large distance, small scale, / on the large scale, it doesn't work. Really? Well, you see, the convoluted gaggle screw of bending pseudo-Riemannian force space-time to create gravity wells to contain gas pressure in non-containment requires an R value that's measured at the small scale. Yeah, I kept that little jape till the last time John used that and then pulled it out of my ass, seemingly. I did disclaim that I had been thinking about it for a while. But yeah, you can easily overcome that by pointing out that their large scale comes from a small scale. And it needs R!
Shout out to Travis. He used to call that the great scale negator. There it is.
Well, maybe
only on
the gravity well has an R value too.
They all have an R value. It's all based on R.
small scales. On large scales, the weight of the air causes...
Sorry, gas go down, go boom boom, weight of air. Sorry, how many gases are produced in the sky and are falling down, go boom boom like rain? None of them. All of the gases, Matthew, are created at ground level. And you know what they do to make their way to the top of mountains? They disperse. It's called entropy. It disperses from where it's produced at ground level to high in the sky. Now, in order for that to be taking place in the first place, you absolutely, fundamentally require the antecedent consequence relationship that is gas pressure and containment. Because it's going to come from the ground and at a high velocity go up. You're saying gas has weight. That's a downward vector, my friend. Now, gas expands in all directions. How do you weigh a gas? Oh, is that one of those, oh, it's a small scale, so I'll put it in a container? But when it's at the scale of Earth and the gas isn't falling, is this a nitrogen factory or an oxygen factory? What's being produced here to have it fall down, Matthew? You think gas fall down, go boom boom, you stupid idiot? No. Some crazy clown doesn't understand gas behaviour or any of the gas cycles, because none of them are coming from the sky, my friend.
This is atmospheric pressure with...
Atmo what now? Atmospheric pressure? So what, the pressure exerted on the outside edge of the sphere-shaped air? Because that's how it works at a big scale, is it? No. You see, in order for the gas to have reached the outside edge of the sphere, it had to follow entropic law and disperse upwards. It wasn't falling down to create atmosphere when you begged the question. What's that you were saying about this only works at a small scale? Oh, really? Well, atmosphere's based on a small scale value measured at the horizon that's geometric called R. The one that you bent earlier, so you can't measure that R anymore at the small scale to give you the large scale. Yeah? That just got fucked by the cat look on your face is what you'd have if you were here too, Matthew.
No container required. You can verify this by measuring pressure gradients.
Really? Pressure being the force gas exerts on the walls of the container, and a delta of the pressure on the walls of the container in a gradiated form? Oh, really? You see, a gradient is a delta of something that you would need in the first place to achieve gas pressure, Matthew. AKA containment, like you agreed with us on? Yeah, you're going to need that first before you can achieve a delta of gas pressure. First, the gas has to press on something, then it can form the dynamic systems that we all experience. But not if there's a sky vacuum, because the very first gas pressure would have never developed. The gas would have left the ground, expanded into the area of volume, and that's all it had ever done. It wouldn't come back down to Earth because it's put on weight, because at the large scale it eats cakes and falls down, go boom boom, from the nitrogen and oxygen factories in the sky that we don't have. Gas is expanding upwards, you utter clown. It's called dispersion. It's a law of nature, the one you conceded. You haven't demonstrated in any way this large-scale violation of natural law. You've just assumed it by the small-scale R value you use for your atmosphere. Clown.
At sea level,
Nathan.
pressure is...
Yeah.
Isn't it a concession when they say it forms a gradient? Ain't they conceding to containment?
Yeah, you need containment first. If you're saying gas pressure gradient, then you need a container to achieve gas pressure to then have it gradiated. Without the container, to quote conspiracy cats, there is no pressure.
So you're not going to use that gradient as proof that at far end, when we look up, that it shows that it dissipates to a vacuum. That's not going to be what he was saying there. You can show it goes off to space because we've got the gradient.
Yeah, upwards. He also said, wait, gas go down, go boom boom. So what's going up? Dissipating. When it goes down, go boom boom. The guy's an idiot.
is 101,325 pascals.
That's a measure of pressure, right? You're going to need to be pressing on something. You're going to need a container for that measurement.
But if you go up just 8.5 meters, about 3 stories high, it decreases to 101,223 pascals.
Yeah, do you know why? Because there's nothing here producing any gas. It's an empty space for gas to disperse into. Whereas down here, there's all sorts of stuff creating gas, cyclically. So where do you think the higher concentration of gas is going to be? Meanwhile, if this area was the fledgling Earth in your bullshit sphere belief, then the very, very, very first gas particle that came out of the ground whoosh, would disappear into space. Because all that was around it was space. Nothing for it to bounce off of, just an empty volume for it to expand into at whatever vector it's travelling, in whatever direction, at whatever speed it's going, until it collides with something. So, based on that, you'd never achieve a measurement of gas pascals in the first place. Because no gas would ever return back down unless it collided with a container and came back down for you to measure its pressure. The differential is achieved in the cyclical nature that must be contained because you have a high concentration at ground level than you do in the sky where no gas is being made. That's also in line with entropic law. The gas that was created here has made its way up here. There's less of it because it ain't being produced there anymore.
Nathan, can I make a point?
Yeah.
Because you always say gas gets created at ground level, and in general, that is what happens, right? There's chemical interactions creating gases, evaporation, all that. But there's another factor too that, in my opinion, is much more prevalent in playing a role in the gradation within the realm, and that is the heat, right? At ground, it's more hot than way up there in a building. It doesn't really matter where you are in the world. It's always going to be a lot cooler up there than down here. And I think that's the heat that actually is contributing to heightening that pressure at the ground level so dramatically in comparison to up there. So it's not just being created, it's also being heated up right there and basically causing to be more pressure. not just the creation of it.
That's a change in pressure of 102 pascals
Relative
with
to
no container in between.
kinetic energy. So you're correct. Obviously, the heat will just energize more, making the molecules move faster. It's like one of the questions I asked that AI, you know, the effect. If I just quickly get it, the AI was claiming that it's gravity and factors such as temperature, pressure, and atmospheric composition, as well as the influence of solar radiation, which is what you're saying. And they are all factors that affect the pressure. But that comes with the premise that the pressure requires containment, which is what the AI wouldn't touch. But yeah, I would.
Right, exactly. Because
yeah.
heat also creates gas. It does actually transform material into gases and cause plants to be able to transform the gases, etc. But it's also just acute creating pressure right there.
It's like a thermal spoon. It's stirring it, isn't it, with heat? So
Okay, I'm just going to stop you guys. I appreciate you explaining this. Sorry, what's the flat Earth claim we make in regards to this exactly?
Oh, it's nothing to do with the nature of the Earth.
Dielectric acceleration, Nathan.
Or do I make that claim?
The one he stated at the beginning, that gas pressure requires a container, and flat earthers were right about that.
No, that's not a claim. That's an antecedent consequent relationship. He conceded because it's not up for contention. It's not agree disagree. It's a fact. That's not a claim. What claim do we make as flat earthers in regards to? I'll just give you a hint. The claim that the sky is a vacuum. What claim do we make in regards to what the sky is?
Well, there's a containment.
I just said that's an antecedent consequent relationship. That's not up for debate. You show me an example of gas pressure not needing containment, and I'll accept it and reject the natural law and make sure it's written out of history because it's not a law anymore.
Okay, let me rephrase it then. We basically claim that natural law has to be applied.
That's not something that I claim. It's a fact. Laws of nature just describe how we observe nature behaving. It's not, it applies but only on a certain scale. This clown seems to think that laws of nature apply at certain scales. No. If they didn't apply in any circumstances ever, they wouldn't be laws! You stupid idiot!
Well,
this is the frustrating thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the ballers just don't think it's that serious, really. I mean, they'll be okay with some of them saying, "Oh, second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth or their globe model," which they really mean, and they're okay with it. So they just don't have that weight on natural laws as much, I guess, as we do.
See, natural laws should be. We're having a debate on the nature of Earth, okay, and that's what we should be debating. But the place we should be able to agree and work from are things like natural laws. And I think in any other form of discussion, these sorts of people would stick with natural laws. It's only when it relates to the Earth they're happy to abandon natural laws because it destroys the model, doesn't it?
They suddenly don't apply. Suddenly the scale of Earth doesn't have the natural laws of nature that apply to everything always. As descriptions of how we observe the world, they don't apply to how we observe the world. It's not how we or Matthew observes the world, though. It's how NASA tells him they observe the world. He's not going out to the sky vacuum observing gas pressure without a containment. He's a muppet who's been told it by NASA. Based on photos from an area that can't possibly comport with the law of nature, they say they are violating. Therefore, what? The law of nature doesn't apply because of the scale? Yeah, it still very much applies. It's a law of nature, you utter idiot.
Yeah, but they say we don't know what's going on up there. If we haven't been up there, they don't know. Things could be different up there, you know?
Then it's not a law of nature.
That's a fallacy.
Yep.
Can't remember the name of it. Appeal to the future fallacy. We might find out differently. Law of nature doesn't apply. We might find out it's wrong. Show it wrong. Otherwise, shut up.
Queen. Well, the same thing happens much higher. At an altitude of 50 kilometers, the pressure is only 100 pascals.
So the force exerted on the walls of the container. Yeah, but you've also asserted that gas is being created at the sky level and falling to ground level. Go down, go boom, boom, wait. Well, that's not in line with gas behaviour. So you're still appealing to this gas pressure gradient, a delta of the antecedent requirement for gas pressure beyond the begging the question fallacy that the law of nature doesn't apply at this scale. How did you in any way demonstrate that?
Going from there to a hard vacuum is also a change.
A hard vacuum? That's not possible. That's a second law of thermodynamics violation. All of the gas would expand into the area of volume available to it. That's the law of nature. You're not violating the law just by saying it.
Sorry.
Go on.
That's right, I thought you'd done that. Another unit switcheroo here. So if you look, 100 pascals, yeah, that's still 0.75 torque. It's huge, huge still compared to where he's going to take it to. 10 to the minus, is it 17 torque?
He's got 10 to the minus 11, but yeah.
So is he going to explain this now?
Wait till you hear how he concludes this. He's gonna pull a. I think it was like an old Sly Sparkane jump off. Watch, it's gonna be hilarious.
I'm gonna bite my hand. Right.
Just the law of nature is high pressure goes to low pressure, hot goes to cold. These are things that occur always. If you have a tire that is 1 psi higher than the surrounding air pressure, and you open the valve on the tyre, the higher pressure leaks into the surrounding pressure. That's entropy. That's dispersion. If this is a higher pressure than this, then this will disperse into it. Now that means, in very literal terms, that if the sky was a vacuum, 10 to the minus 11 pascals, then the gas we breathe at a higher pressure would disperse into the area of volume. That's gas behaviour. This doesn't in any way justify why it wouldn't do that. High pressure gas moves to low pressure. That's what it does.
In 100 pascals. So if you don't need a container between 0 and 10 meters...
Sorry, if we don't need a container between the two levels? No, we need a container full stop. This is a demonstration of the dynamic gas pressure differential, but that requires gas to have pressure for it to be in a differential. It's not that you need a container every 10 meters, yeah? But for your light refracting through sphere-shaped air, you would need some form of change in medium every 10 meters to bend the light. But in this instance, no, you can have dispersion, yeah? The gas at high pressure lower down, dispersing, spreading out, into the availability of volume requires an availability of volume, a container. This doesn't eradicate that. This is a delta X argument. First, you've got to have containment to have pressure in the first place.
Why do you need one between 50 kilometers and higher?
You don't. Gas is dispersing, getting thinner. There's less and less gas because it's at its highest concentration where it's created. And when a gas molecule's created, it's going to bounce around for a certain amount of time in amongst the high amount of gas that's already there. But over time, it disperses. It's a law of nature. That's why there's gas up here. But for there to be any pressure at all whatsoever, you first need containment.
And it's really cold up there too, so whatever gas is going to end up there, it's going to be very thin compared to down here where it's much warmer.
In the thermosphere, it's cold in the thermosphere.
Yeah,
isn't that some old and busted
it is cold.
nonsense?
It's less cold than what supposedly surrounds it, but it's still much colder than down here.
Not
Don't worry about that. Look at the switcheroo he's trying to put in now. He's trying to imply that these the equivalent of containment in these graduated areas, with the line of, well, if we didn't have containment between 50 and 100, then why do we need it as we reach the Kármán line? I assume is where he's going to go. The gas will still stay there. Naughty, dirty.
Isn't that an old busted nonsense that somebody told us a while ago? Then somebody come and ask, why is there no containment between the gas pressure here and the gas pressure on top of Mount Everest or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, just a clown show argument based on a demonstration of a total lack of acumen when it comes to gas behavior.
He thinks he can stack gases like you can
Let's just dumb it
stack
down for this
different types
idiot,
of
Arwin. Right, do
types
you
of-
believe that when you fart and it disperses throughout the area of volume amongst you and your family, that there needed to be a container between you and them for the period of time that it was around you? Do you think that needed containment for it to disperse? And then
Well,
for it
I
to be
don't.
less smelly as it spread out throughout your house? No, that's just
Well, I don't
dispersion.
think so.
Shut up, Owen.
I'm sorry you're asking.
I'm telling the guy that that's dispersion. Dispersion through already existing gas pressure. And to achieve that, you need containment.
Right, I agree, but they do have a tendency, the ballers, to think of, well, as long as it's not all mixed in, they are like separated layers, and then they can think of them like they would with fluids and liquids, like a fat layer versus a water layer. They keep separate. It doesn't happen with gases, but in their mind, they can make it do that, so they can think of it as a fluid, and that's how that misassumption comes up. That layering somehow with gases separates it as a container element, which it doesn't at all.
He's already said gas has got weight. So in his mind, the stuff up here is falling down on the stuff down here. That's what he's already said. Just an idiot.
It's the same pressure differential. I like to use this analogy. How do you make grapes into grape juice? Well, you have to squeeze them. You put them into a container and squeeze. So you may think that a container is necessary for making grape juice. That's usually true, but there is another way. You could make a big pile of grapes on the ground, and as the pile grows bigger and bigger, eventually it will weigh so much that the grapes on the bottom will be squeezed, and you'll get grape juice without using a container.
And grapes are like gas. Do grapes move at high velocity in all vectors? Anyone?
No, that's what I was about to say. That's just not analogous. You are actually
Serious
using the
grapes.
grapes to make a container. They're not bouncing off each other, the grapes, are they? You've made something solid.
The grapes
To
are
apply
grapes are a
weight.
solid.
Yeah. But the grapes are applying weight to the lower grapes. That's not what gas behavior. That's not analogous to gas behavior.
Okay. So by equivalent, do grapes go down, go boom, boom, boom in air?
Yes.
Do air molecules go down, go boom, boom in air?
No.
No. So it's yet another case of the fraud, shyster, scammer, liar, scumbag Matthew Weathers describing gas behaviour with grapes? Are you
Grapes are
insane? Do you need
bouncy
locking up in an asylum? Do you think grapes behave the same as gases? No, you're just a shyster. You're just lying to your audience. You're a scumbag. Give him 500,000 views. Give him 500,000 subscribers. This shyster scumbag liar making preferred content on the platform. This scumbag. This fraud.
Told you
YouTube
he
will
was a
promote
liar.
this scum.
I told you.
Go on, whoever that was.
That was me. I told you he was a liar. That's why I said it on your super chat. He's a liar. Period, point blank. Not deluded. He's an intentional, habitual liar.
Yeah. We're calling you out as a fraud, a scammer, a scumbag, Matthew Weathers. And obviously, should you respond to me, I absolutely expect, like anybody else would do in the spirit of good YouTubing, that you share my show with your fans. Tell them, go and say hi to Nathan. Subscribe today to Nathan Oakley 1980 channel. And I'm posting your link so that my friends in the chat can go and say hi to you. Let you know that we've responded to your video. You know, where you talk about how gas behaves like grapes because you're a fraud. No, my friend, they're not in the slightest bit analogous. Gas moves at high velocities. It's created at ground level and makes its way up. Your grapes don't do that. Yeah?
It's somewhat similar with atmosphere.
Really? Similar to grape behaviour? What, sphere-shaped oxymoron air already arbitrarily taking the shape of a sphere without containment is analogous to grapes? No, you're just a lying fraud scumbag. Quick shout out to Ills G, who says, don't forget to share the show. Indeed you do.
Now, the one underneath's better from you. Grape expectations. Don't worry, we're already crushing this video, mate.
That's a good one.
We could still squeeze a bit more out of it, so let's carry on.
The weight of the air causes.
Stop whining and get on with the video.
Yeah. Do you think that he is a liar or he's just retarded?
He's just told you that atmosphere is comparable to grapes.
Exactly.
Liar, QE. I've gone through.
You think he's a liar?
Two times where he's used inappropriate units to totally deceive. We went through it. He used revolutions per minute and compared an ant on the hour hand because it had a higher RPM rate than the Earth to claim that you're moving slower on the Earth. That's slower.
And you think that's lying?
Yes,
than
because
it is.
He used RPM as his units to state it, which showed that what his claim was that you're going faster on the clock. The ant's going faster on the clock. When I then converted that to miles per hour, you've got 1,000 miles per hour for the person supposedly on the ball Earth at the equator. And this ant was supposedly going faster because it's got a higher RPM rate. Yeah, he's going at 0.00005 miles per hour. That's a straight out lie to report it with RPM and make the opposite claim.
And not stupidity.
No, it's straight lying.
It's intellectual dishonesty.
I would beg the difference.
I would call it intellectual dishonesty.
Hence,
but intellectual dishonesty is dishonesty.
Hence, he's not retarded because that's the
He's not
empathetic.
the
That's
only
the
one that's.
empathetic ad home.
Who is talking behind me?
D Rose is the one who introduced the video and suggested we cover it. He just wants to pipe up and offer his opinion. Go ahead, D Rose.
I'm sorry, QE. I'm sorry, QE. I'm just letting you know he's. Do retards lie? I mean, I don't think he's retarded. I think he's a liar. Retard is more.
Oh, then you don't know him.
Empathetic. Okay,
No,
now I
he's
don't know
retarded.
him. He looks like a bobble. He looks like Mr. Rogers' bobblehead. That's all I know.
No, I don't really care what he looks like. He's retarded. Well, any moron can conflate angular velocity versus tangential speed. That doesn't make him a liar. It makes him a doofus. And when you compare grapes to Atmo or to gas behavior, is that retarded or is he a liar?
I'd call it intellectual dishonesty. It's a false comparison.
A bit of both.
I'd say it's lying because it's clearly not the same thing.
No. It's done to deceive. He's not. You've got to be pretty clever to try and deceive people. If you're just dumb, yeah, coming here and repeating stuff, that's one thing. He's using made-up analogies. He's gone and got numbers, used terms like speed, and he's done it to deceive, to misrepresent the actual truth of the facts, and he's purported them the opposite way around. That takes effort to put all of that in a way that allows you to make the opposite to what the facts show.
Well, you can still have effort and be a dumbass.
Okay, we could go around in circles all day. I say he's a liar.
Hey, and
D Rose says he's a liar. We're not in a consensus. It doesn't matter.
All right. Fair enough.
But can we
this
say this
higher-
for a fact? He thinks his audience is retarded because I would be insulted if I was a subscriber. I would unsubscribe for him after making that point among many other points he tried to make.
But I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that my audience go and wish him well, give him a like, and say Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And obviously, I would hope that he returned the favour. That's why I'm putting his link in the chat now. I'm not suggesting anybody go to him and call him a retard in his channel. Don't do that. That's not nice. We can do it here with examples of retarded behaviour. That's different.
Go ahead, Ted.
I think we ought to be very grateful that he did this video.
It's grateful. Great one. Well, I've dealt with this retard personally for about 3 years. Anyone on the panel dealt with him?
I've never dealt with
Negative.
him, no.
You have every right, QE. He's a numpty diphead.
I've dealt with him.
Okay, any more? We'll carry on.
Yeah, we got a
Pressure
saying
at
in
the
Dutch.
bottom. So, a container is not the necessary antecedent for pressure. Gas
Because
does not expand in all directions exactly equally.
So it doesn't expand in all directions equally. You said it went down. You said it had weight. You've only ascribed a downward vector to it. You've got it falling from the sky from the nitrogen and oxygen factories. But now you're saying gas doesn't disperse equally in all directions equally? Oh, really? Well, no, not if you're introducing it into an existing gas pressure. No, it's going to bounce off all the other gas that's there as it disperses in line with entropic law. But it's definitely expanding in all directions as opposed to being ascribed a downward vector. That's weight, as you did earlier. Again, I would call deception. He said weight. That's a downward vector. Now he's saying all directions. That seems very dishonest to me.
He said that no one made the claim. This is a straw man. No one made the claim that expands in all directions exactly equally. No one made that claim. It just expands in all directions.
Yeah, but he did make the claim that it went down with weight.
It can't expand equally in all directions because in one direction, down, there's this thing called the ground.
Yeah, but unlike the grapes, when it hits it, it's going to bounce off with elastic collisions and go straight back up again.
My point there being is that's what's affecting the dispersion pattern, not different gas behavior. There's the ground in the way.
There's a slight bias in the downward direction due to the weight of the air.
So gas comes out of the ground and biases downwards. Is that what you're saying? So according to all of these, they're going down, are they? All of these come out of the ground and go down with a bias down. Are you utterly insane? Yeah, literally, none of them are going down. They're all coming out of the ground and going up. In fact, they can't go down. As Adam just pointed out, called it, by the way, Adam. Well done. They can't go down. How can they have a downward bias? Do they come out of the ground and then hover there for a bit because of the bias? No, they're going up. Look up at a cloud, you moron. See, that's biased downwards when the gas went up to make it. No, the gas went up. And when it got there, it started going under a phase change to turn back into water. But the gas didn't fall down or have a downward bias on its way up. It was going up. Is this going nuts?
And that's enough to create atmospheric pressure without...
Sorry, it's enough for the gas going down to create atmospheric pressure. That's the force exerted on the walls of a container. Your description of gas that's going up actually going down is just idiotic. That's not a demonstration of gas pressure not needing containment. It's just you being an idiot.
A container.
Is it? No, it isn't. I could just say no, because you've not provided any evidence, and the evidence you have provided is that it expands in all directions. When it's coming out of the ground, it ain't going down, biased downwards with weight. Idiot.
Furthermore, calling atmospheric pressure a violation of...
Calling atmo what now? You beg the question of sphere-shaped atmo, and you're telling us what it's not violating?
The second law of thermodynamics is...
Yeah, it absolutely does. Atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, is the assertion that air arbitrarily takes the shape of a sphere. The second law of thermodynamics describes how gas fills space. Dispersion. It doesn't describe how it arbitrarily takes a sphere shape. So yeah, absolutely, atmosphere oxymoron defies the second law of thermodynamics.
It's just a misunderstanding of that.
Oh, really? Like, I just explained how it wasn't a misunderstanding, and you're just going to tell us with a hand wave that we don't understand, basically. That's what this is. They don't understand. Now, I've just detailed what it is. The second law of thermodynamics would describe the dispersion of gas into volume. That's what it would describe. It doesn't describe air in a sphere, because you begged the question that gas go down, go boom, boom, when it's created at ground level and goes up. That's not an explanation, dickhead.
That law. I want you to notice something about the form of these arguments. You'll see that they generally...
They're not FE arguments, that they're rebuttals to your stupid sphere-tard claims?
Say something like this. If the Earth really were a globe...
So, let me get it straight. A common form of FE arguments, if the Earth were a globe... Are you utterly retarded? If you're going to list... flat Earth arguments starting with if Earth were a globe, you're demented. Like you seriously have crap for brains. No, a flat Earth argument would start by describing how we use a flat Earth. We wouldn't start a flat Earth argument by postulating it's a fucking globe. Just absolutely outrageous. Why are you detailing the start of a flat Earth argument with "if Earth were a globe"? That's clearly a debunking, you stupid clown.
Because he's a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a retard. He's a retard.
No, he's a liar. A common form of flat Earth arguments. You show me any flat earther, he's gone away and he's lied. He's lied about how we present our arguments. He's a liar. He's a dumb liar. But he's a liar.
We're not going to get to the bottom of this easily. So I suggest we have a vote in the chat. If you are of the opinion that this total scumbag fraud with his misrepresentations and mathematical deception is a scumbag fraud liar, then type 1 in the chat. If, on the other hand, you just think he's completely retarded, stupid, doesn't understand a single word that's coming out of his own mouth as he deceives you with his maths, then type 2.
Nathan, if you remember, he set us up for this because he started out so good. He said we weren't like the Flat Earth Society, that we were a sincere group, or whatever his words were. To this, I think he set us up.
Oh, input 1.5, probably the most accurate answer, even though it wasn't an option.
This is what should happen, and it doesn't. So most of their evidence is negative evidence.
So negative evidence? You mean globe debunkings? You mean contradicting the positive assertion you make for a globe? Oh my God. This guy. Unreal.
Negative evidence.
Negative
so basically
evidence.
what he's saying is that our evidence is not positive.
No, it's just not
That's what he's saying.
Positive claim. It's yours. Clearly, you've not recognised where we take apart your positive claim, and you've called it a negative claim. No, that's a debunking, you stupid idiot.
Yeah,
There are a
'cause
couple of
if they had
examples.
positivity for their claim, in other words, evidence or proof, you couldn't say that our evidence is negative evidence, because what he's saying that we're saying doesn't exist is his claim.
Yeah, he's an
You get what I
absolute
mean?
clown. He's listing flat Earth arguments, and then he's starting it. If Earth were a sphere, the water... Now, this is your positive claim shit for brains. This is your claim of how Earth would be a sphere. Unless you're strawmanning us with a rebuttal we don't make. Because this is obviously addressing your positive claim. That Earth is a sphere? That's your claim? Did you not realise it was a claim you were making? Are you so retarded that you actually believe there was an automatically acceptable assumption, therefore not an assumption anymore, when you postulate your positive claim of if Earth were a sphere? That's your claim, Dumbo, not ours, you stupid idiot.
About how
I've
water
got it.
should flow on the globe.
11-9 for liar to Dumbo.
Yeah, the consensus
ignored
would
the one
suggest
and
that you're
two.
just a liar. Most people view you as a liar. Let's just get that clear. The majority of people think you're a liar, Matthew, based on what you've done here. I would agree. I just see you as a scumbag, fraud, shyster liar who's out to deceive 500,000 people with his views. That's what you're here to do. Deceive. Because you're scum. And I'm not afraid to say it, based on what you've done here.
I've just one comment that I thought was the best summary of that poll. Chronicles of the Unconvinced. 1 and 2, he is lying to himself, which makes him a dumbass. I think spot on.
Yeah, Arwen had the same sentiment, I assume, when he put 1.5.
Well, he's probably lying, but he might not be consciously knowing that he is lying. He's just being fanatical. It's typical anti-flat Earth disease, right? Anti-flat Earthers a lot of the time don't feel of themselves as liars. They just feel like they're doing anything they can for the mission. They don't really look at it as lying, right?
That's
So
not a
he might
liar.
have a bit of that.
That's not a liar. That's intention to deceive. So you can't be unknowingly lying. The paradox.
Yeah, it's willful deception. You've got to be consciously doing it with the intent to deceive.
Right. So that makes it kind of in between, right? It's more like a cognitive dissonance state that's causing it.
Yeah.
Making them lie, but they probably don't fully realize it. Or sometimes they might, but it's just like, it's not working. I have to push it a little further into indecency. But that's not like their default.
You
Anyway.
can't do that maths without being purposely intending to deceive. You can't do that maths, right? Like that without the intent to deceive.
hey, I think I'm missing one big point here. He may not be a liar out in his own life to the people around him, but lying to us or being deceptive to us is okay in their heads because we're lower than them in their minds.
Exactly.
Because they look down on us so much and they hate us so much, but because of this intellectual high ground they like to take, they think that lying to us is okay because the world doesn't care about us. You can say you want the flat earthers, and there's going to be no repercussions from official sources. So lying to us is okay. That's what's going on in his head.
Santa Claus syndrome. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay to mug us off because it's for our own good.
Or how day and night should work, or how clouds should work in the atmosphere.
But he's under the apprehension that all of our claims are based on how sphere-shaped air works or how water would flow on a globe. Those are our claims, are they? You stupid idiot. Yeah, you don't even know how to identify your opponent's claims.
The scientific response is generally...
Scientific response? It's like science doesn't have lips to respond. That's a reification fallacy, you dumbo. You think science has got lips to make responses to people's claims? It's a method, you idiot.
No, that's not what should happen.
Sorry, you think science is represented by your typical glober? Is that what you're postulating here? Oh, wow. Brian, again, that's the second time it's happened. You've completely called it. So his arrogance, he is under the impression that your typical globe response is that of science. The scientific response is generally no, no, no. That would not and should not happen, typical globe response. That's not what should happen. So that's scientific, is it? My God! You're stealing the valour for science for every globe-believing idiot? Oh my God, the audacity. This isn't science. This isn't a typical science response. A typical globe response to hand-wave anything we've said is typical.
You're either misunderstanding...
Yeah, that's typical. You don't understand. Yeah, that's a typical hand wave. Yeah, that's what we do get. You don't understand, because that's a wonderful rebuttal.
What we're saying, or you have the science wrong.
Right, what science would that be? Did he present any science? Was there any claims of science? Was anything establishing cause and effect reasoning through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis to form theory? Or did we have none of that? But suddenly we're talking about science. Why? Charlatan globe believing fraud. Because a claim of science that has not adhered to the scientific method is pseudoscience. So simply stealing valour from a method that doesn't have lips to offer your general Joe Blog Glober's opinion, like it's science. The audacity.
Another kind of argument is to say something like all oceans are flat. Or
so all oceans being flat would be absurd given that oceans have got currents and waves and all those things. So here we go. We're going to rattle off a few straw man arguments for flat Earth. Flat Earth, flat water. Now, water at rest finds and maintains level. It's used as a tool for building. It's called a water level. So, yeah, flat water, that seems like an oversimplification of the fact that water's used as a tool to level things.
Or water always seeks its level. It turns out that both sides agree with those statements.
Well, that's the end of your argument then, isn't it? If water finds and maintains level, then it's not finding and maintaining a curve.
But mean different things by them because they have different definitions of the word flat. And
do we? Sorry, we agree with people on definitions based on the Socratic method. That is to say that we would get you to define what you think level means in this circumstance, given that it's you that's got it on screen. Yeah? Like if it's your claim for how water behaves on a globe, we'd expect you to justify that claim, as opposed to tell me that it's my flat Earth obligation and duty to offer up my flat Earth argument for how water behaves on a fucking sphere.
And the word level.
A sea and an ocean, right? Everywhere you go, we see and observe flat level water. If 70% of the surface of the Earth is flat, it cannot be a ball, right?
Flat earthers mean the surfaces of oceans follow a perfectly straight line. That's just the common sense idea of flat and level.
Sorry, it's used as a principle for navigation when you establish horizontal. For your baseline. Were you unaware when you made this video? I'm pretty sure that a year ago we were well into the celestial argument in terms of how you establish a flat baseline across the water with the horizon. That's establishing a flat Earth, my friend. It's simultaneously the way all of the maps and models, including the globe, were developed by way of those elevation angle measurements being used with Polaris to give you latitude lines. So when you say globers say, I think you're wrong in terms of your defining of these people. They're also flat earthers because the globe's a flat earth model. It utilises flat earth elevation angle measurements. Were you unaware of this, Matthew? Maybe when you respond, you'll be nice and honest with your audience in explaining to them how we get the globe model with the Haversine conversion after flat earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris. You'll detail that, won't you, Matthew? You know, you'll overcome us calling you a charlatan and a fraud and a liar by explaining where your globe came from. That'll be a flat earth, my friend.
Globers say that the word flat and level technically means something more nuanced.
Oh, do they? What, when you're talking about it being curved?
Like following gravitationally equipotential lines.
Sorry, where is it defined as that? The Glober says that it's following gravitational equipotential surface curving around the Earth. So we're begging the question that Earth curves, and then we're begging the question that, quote, sea level is curving. So fuckwit, you think level means curving? No, that's a contradiction in terms. Level does not mean curving. So when you talk about something being sea level, it doesn't mean sea curve. Otherwise, they'd call it sea curve. So when you fail to go through the Socratic method and you fail to actually define this with a definition on screen, claim that your average scientist, that's Glober, defines flat sea level as curved, that's an oxymoron contradiction in terms as opposed to you defining what the fucking word level means.
Which curves slightly, so a flat...
Does it? Level curves slightly? No, it doesn't. It's the antithesis of level. Go on.
This is Eli's housekeeping question. To attack that 2015 argument. He's used gravitational equipotential, but the first bit of Eli's question, when we were chewing through it, was equidistance. This is the same thing wrapped up with Einstein in gravitation as well, isn't it? But as you've pointed out, its fundamental thing is to make level curved, and to give an explanation as to why suddenly now level is curved, and the only reason is because it doesn't comport with the model again. So we've got to have an excuse as to why the word level means curved now.
Because of gravitational.
We changed the definition.
It's changing the definition without citation, because according to this, it's based on the fourth dimensional space-time bending. That's gravitational. So based on a pseudo-Riemannian geometry of a dimension that we don't experience and doesn't exist, invented by Einstein, level's curved.
When again, he started off with Globers and flat earthers agree based on the standard definition of what flat and level means. This guy's a trickster, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah, what a shyster. Used car salesman scumbag.
Ocean, or a level plane, actually curves slightly.
Plane? Curves slightly? You think a plane is curving? Shyster, scumbag, fraud, liar, deceiver. No, it doesn't. Plane does not mean curved.
Slightly with the shape of the
The
Earth.
only I was going to say the only thing, the one thing that he's forgetting is that the majority of the world don't view level as a curve. They view it as a horizontal. They don't view any curve to it whatsoever. That's completely non-intuitive.
No, it's a law of identity violation.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that if he's pumping this out to the general public, it'll only be fundies that will join in on it. Not actual real
I'm just going
normal
to do
people.
this now, Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, he's saying level means curved. All right, how the fuck do you get this line in your model? This is Andrew Thomas Young's diagram. It's got a level line at the top. Yeah? The straight line tangent is also straight and level. So if you're going to assert that level means curved, how the hell do you ascribe level in your geometry? It's required. It's defined. It's there in Andrew Thomas Young diagram that you presented earlier. Here it is. Is this curving or is this a level line? So that the geometry works, because you're going to have to define the terms that are actually used in the geometry. One of them is level. But is this a curved line, you stupid shit for brains moron, deceitful car dealer? No, my friend. To have your geometry, you must define level as level. Yeah, it's not slightly curving. Do you see a curve in this dotted line, shit for brains? No. your geometry also requires level be level. So no, you redefining level based on gravitational, nonsense equidistance? No, that's still defiant of your geometry in the first instance because it also requires level be level. Yeah? Level suddenly doesn't curve when you apply your geometry. So no, that would also screw your geometry completely because one of the fundamental principles no longer applies to it, does it? If this line's curving. What an idiot. Way to destroy your own geometry, by the way. Suddenly planes, that's tangent planes used in globe geometry, and levels, like the one in Andrew Thomas Young's diagram here, they don't exist anymore. They're all curving. Right, you stupid clown? No, my friend. Go and learn geometry. Go and learn what level means. Don't listen to the globers, in quotes, because they're as thick as you are. It's the blind leading the blind when you start telling us how planes bend. Because they're absolutely fundamental to your geometric assertion of an Earth curve edge getting in the way at a geometric tangent point that you also bent, you stupid dick.
In other words, when we say flat, we don't mean that it follows a perfectly straight line.
So when you say flat, you mean the antithesis of flat. You fundamentally defy the definition of it, because in your world, your geometry, with its necessity for this to be defined as level, doesn't apply anymore. So how the hell are you going to do this geometry that Andrew Thomas Young was referencing earlier then, my friend? Because it defines the geometry with levels being level. He's not bending level, so why are you? I mean, he's bending the tangent and giving you two horizons, but he still draws in a straight line from O to G. Now, why would that be level? Surely that would be curved also. Just slightly. No, it isn't. It fundamentally defies your geometric principles. You stupid idiot.
But see, if this guy was talking at any other point, and we were talking about a bit of DIY, the term level we would have Socratic agreement on. It's only in the topic, in terms of the nature of the surface, that suddenly the word level, flat, stops actually meaning what it does, even to this guy in every other walk of life that he has. Wherever else he'd use it, it's only here, because of his model, that he has to say that level isn't flat. At least.
But it is model, and his geometry requires it be so. Here's it on screen. I kept it up for just this very purpose. So while he flashed past Andrew Thomas Young's diagram pretty quick, I have them every day rolling by. So I can point out when lying scumbags start telling you that this dotted line used in the geometry that he also referenced, this is actually curved. Right, mate? No, mate, that fundamentally defies your geometric principles that are being used. So definitely not.
This is where I'd probably not call him a liar. I would suggest here he's not aware of the Orwellian paradox. Probably doesn't recognise this point. He's just by Andrew Thomas Young.
Just dumb. Dumb. Doesn't understand that when you bend lines, you no longer have tangents, and when you decide that planes are curving, your geometry no longer applies and can't be used. You're just thick. Yeah, we deal with stupid idiots like you all the time, Matthew. People who don't understand geometric principles and tell us that planes curve, even though he's referenced them earlier from Andrew Thomas Young very quickly. They didn't stay on screen for very long, did they? Now we keep them here for a prolonged period so we can embarrass lying shits like you. And point out that when you tell us that planes bend, no they don't in your geometry, my friend. And asserting that they do to get around this tricky little problem that you've got isn't going to change a fundamental geometric principle that you've also referenced. Dumb, thick, stupid.
Don't change the screen. His refracted favourite lines here, look, is doing it all below level. If you read the bottom bit, look, so stellarium shows geometric alt as coordinates with respect to the geometric horizon and apparent alt as coordinates with respect to the apparent horizon, in brackets, which is at a negative altitude in the geometric alt as system. Then it's below water level.
Yeah, his geometric horizon that requires a tangent point for it to work, not a bent line to the horizon, is below surface level. At level, you understand how he's describing it? Below surface level, not below a curve, you complete clown, Matthew. It maybe you should have read what you put up on screen from Andrew Thomas Young rather than just saying that people could go and look at him. Yeah, because you didn't, did you, Dumbo? Otherwise, you'd understand how he defined level. But you didn't, because you didn't even read the thing you put on screen, did you, Matthew?
Yeah, look, if you read it, look. So stellarium shows the geometric as coordinates. That's a flat plane.
What an embarrassment, Matthew. You should have read what you put up on screen, because someone like us will sit and scrutinise it. I know you thought in your edit you could scroll past it real quick. You know, that's just telling. That tells me that you haven't read it. When you roll on past it without referring to it as a really strong piece of evidence. That tells me you didn't even read it. You pathetic idiot. Now, we've read it, and we understand that level's a necessity in it. So you're a stupid idiot when you start defying it based on what science says. I mean, globers. That's retards like you, my friend. What they say. Boop.
Slightly different definition. On small scales, you don't really need to distinguish between the definitions. It only
Do we not? So people don't build buildings on small scales and use levels. Okay.
It makes a difference when you're talking
Oh,
about
it doesn't make a difference. But no, buildings would fall down if they didn't level them, you stupid clown.
large
Oh,
objects.
definitions change by scale now. Wow, this guy is amazing.
That guy doesn't
That's
understand the
literally what he
Socratic method.
just said.
Oh, chocolate, my bad.
That's what he said. The definite. Matter of fact, play that again. The last 10, 15 seconds, please.
Is a perfectly straight line. We're using a slightly different definition. On small scales, you don't really need to distinguish between the definitions. It only makes a difference when you're talking about large objects. Maybe
It only makes a difference when I beg the question of Earth. Until then, we're all in agreement. Level means level. So what about this scale? What about the scale in this diagram? It looks to me like we've pretty much got half of the scaled value for Earth in this diagram. Is that a small scale? Does level stop being level at this scale? No, definitely not. What a load of old nonsense. Again, if this dick, the one telling you, the audience, what's what, had actually read the material that he put up on screen, he'd realise what an absolute cluster screw this statement is. Oh, you're just thick, mate. And being ripped a new one by me and everyone on this panel.
maybe bigger than a couple hundred meters. So when a flat earther says, how can...
Bigger than a couple of 100 meters? What, like this? I'm going to guess that's about 10,000 miles. Bigger than a couple of 100 meters. Level's still definitely level in this geometry, you stupid idiot. The scale didn't change how level was in Andrew Thomas Young's diagram. Are you mentally retarded? Did you not read his stuff? Did it suddenly change what level meant in Andrew Thomas Young's geometry at this scale? That's a very large section of Earth. No, my friend, definitely not. You're just stupid.
Can the Earth be a globe if 70% of the Earth is water and water is flat? I would say, I agree, it can't.
Well, then why the hell are you making this video?
Using your definition of flat.
Oh, I see. Using your definition, the definition of what flat means, and Andrew Thomas Young's. Check this out. At this scale, it's still flat. You total clown. So, based on the scales not changing what flat means, I'm going to go with flat Earth, based on what you've just said. Go on, whoever that was.
Sorry, I thought you were finished saying what you're saying. No, he's after just conceding that, for if anyone's interested, that he's okay with with your definition, my definition, his definition, Adam's definition of the word flat or any other word. He's okay. That's what he's just conceded to.
Until you have to actually defend it, then we have to now change the definition. Or if the scale happens to change, then we have to change the definition again. Tactics. All they got.
Equivocation, basically. This word that we're using will have a new meaning now. That's what he's saying.
Did you state his pedigree information, by the way?
Did he give his pedigree information?
No, did he or did you?
For Andrew Thomas Young, he brought it up.
No, no. His pedigree, Matthew's pedigree.
No, I haven't. I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. I have no idea.
He's a university mathematics professor, by
Sack
the
him.
way.
Sack him. Just sack him. If he's a professor of mathematics and he's convoluted the difference between angular velocity and rim velocity, then he's a scumbag liar. How can you possibly say he's not a liar if he's a mathematician? He knew the trick he was doing then. Scumbag. Sack him.
You can still be a mathematician and screw up angular velocity and tangential speed.
You still want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's just thick when he's teaching people about maths. If that's the case, sack him, because he's too stupid to be teaching people this stuff if he doesn't realise how wrong that was, to equivocate between the velocity of your... it's not equivocation. To juxtapose the speed of an ant on the outside arm of a clock versus the rim velocity of Earth spinning is an assumption. That to me is nothing short of so idiotic. Why is he teaching anybody? If that's what you're going to defend him as, then yeah, definitely sack him immediately. He's too thick to be teaching people.
Yep.
Being a perfectly straight line. But that's not what we're saying when we
saying, where's the definition then?
Say the globe is 70% flat water. We mean flat as in flat means smoothly curving around the globe.
Okay, so if flat means smoothly curving around a globe, what's this line in Andrew Thomas Young's diagram? What's that? Is that a flat line?
Uh-oh.
What's that? At this scale, Andrew Thomas Young's geometry still requires flat to be flat. It's part of the geometry. Are you stupid? It seems you are. We're all of agreement that you shouldn't have a job teaching people because of how thick you are. We're going to give up on a liar and just go with stupid, sack him.
Now, you can't prove things with definitions like this one way or the other.
You don't prove things with definitions, you define things with definitions. You can prove cause and effect with science, something you don't understand, being a mathematician, but using the words of science to steal valor for globers.
But it's helpful to be clear about what definition you're using when you're using...
Why? It's helpful to be clear so that you can say it doesn't apply here. Right, that we're going to use a different definition at a different scale, even though Andrew Thomas Young doesn't. You know, he's still got level surfaces, he's still got level, he's still got flat, you know, to use the geometry. But you're going to change the definition when you say that flat means curving around a sphere. Why would you do that? Is it because of your fundamentalist sphere Earth religious belief? Yeah, definitely.
He's literally snatching his own wig off right now. Like, he's literally been, the whole video, he's been changing definitions to prove his point. But yeah, we'll say we don't need to use definition to prove something.
Using words like flat or level. Another word flat earthers sometimes use differently is the word believe. If you ask them, do you believe the earth is flat?
No. I would say no. We'll see what his straw man answer is.
Hold up.
No, it's not a belief when you're navigating and building on it flat. That's measurably and navigatably flat.
You can't go to an indictment like that. Another word that flat earthers use incorrectly, having just had the previous example of the word flat. It's not us that seems to have an issue with using the word incorrectly, but it's straight to an indictment as if the point he just made was really a pertinent point and that we're stupid for thinking the word flat means flat.
Which he agreed with until the context of the globe came into the frame.
Yeah, what he's asking you to do as an audience member is accept that flat means flat until we say it's not flat because it's bending around a sphere. Isn't that obvious? Can't you understand the redefining of this word? But meanwhile, flat earthers, they don't understand the meaning of words.
Well, but the next word we're going to look at is, well, it's dead science, isn't it? Believe. I'm not sure that what relevance this is going to have, but we'll see, I suppose. But believe.
Quick shout out to Elvis Kafovic, who says there is no beliefs on a flat earth. Yeah, it's not agree, disagree. The genre has gone beyond that now. It might have been at the start because of our own lack of, or our own ignorance, but now it's not an agree, disagree subject. Earth is measured and navigated flat. The models that assert that it isn't were derived from flat Earth angle measurements. So it's just the end of the road. It doesn't make any difference what this lying clown tells his audience. You know, Matthew Weathers might tell you that you need to redefine what level is, while contradicting Andrew Thomas Young's use of it in his geometry. Because at a scale that he believes Earth's a sphere, suddenly, what, level isn't level anymore. Okay, well, that's his stupid belief. But that doesn't change the way and how it works. the world works by taking elevation angle measurements to develop the mapping to then convert to a sphere by way of the Haversine formula. Well, that doesn't mean we're on a sphere. It means you've measured Earth flat to suggest you're on a sphere.
Many of them will say, no, I don't believe, I know.
No, I said we measured it flat and navigated it flat.
We don't need to believe things. This is not a religion. As soon as you say belief, that is an immediate connotation to religion. There is no belief here. Gravity does not exist. Period.
There's a bigger cult called Scientism. They say scientists believe. Because you might as well be saying the pastor believes or the Pope believes. And then you must believe, because belief is usually tied to a religion or some kind of cult-like dogmatic thinking.
As if the word believe implies some kind of misplaced faith in something with no evidence. That can happen. However, most philosophers would say that...
God.
Wouldn't that be the perfect time for him to actually define the word belief? Right now? That would be a perfect time, Matthew. What does believe mean?
Sounds like it's an agree or disagree proposition.
if you know something, you also believe it. To believe something just means that you think it's true. So I find their use of that word just bizarre. Some flat earthers will also define science.
He said that's bizarre. This clown doesn't know the definitions of simple fundamental friggin' words, man.
For real.
He believes that knowing is a belief, is basically what he just said.
Science in such a way to include only experimental science, not observational sciences like
observational science.
Sorry, while I'm suffering a coughing fit, can you just explain why you've laughed at observational sciences, please?
Well, the observational science doesn't exist. That's as simple as that. Observational science, you got a composition fallacy, number one. Number two, observation is part of the scientific method. So pulling it out just as inherent on its own, that's composition fallacy. Simple.
That's
well, the opposite being a question, what would be non-observational science?
When you're sleeping?
Yeah. Science I do with my eyes closed.
Every time you blink, science, baby.
like astronomy, marine biology, or paleontology.
None of those are science. Just pseudoscience.
I'm sorry.
Guys, so this is the game.
So he's confused the word study with science there, right? Observational studies with science. Just confuse that.
Yeah, it's a composition fallacy. QE just said that.
Only experimental science, not observational sciences like astronomy, marine biology, or paleontology.
And the scientific method.
Can I say something? Sorry. If you stop at observation, then you never get to the science. If you stop at I observe a phenomenon, and they just turn around and walk off. You don't learn that. It's like that thing exists. That's all you know. You don't know why what causes it.
Yeah, I think you're missing the slight detail. There's got to be some aspect of repeatability, Brian. I think someone said it earlier. If you blink and then open your eyes again, that's repeating it. So that makes it science.
But you know what's funny though with this? He answered one of our housekeeping questions. What's the question? Is there any viable hypothesis for astronomy, cosmology, astrophysics? Well, he's basically putting those things in a category of what? Observational science. Which means you're not doing anything. You're not manipulating anything. So he basically answered our housekeeping question. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, we have a little look at it. We call that science, but basically we have a little look at it. We call it observational science.
I think he thinks that knowing the breeding patterns of a blue tit is science.
Did you observe it? Would you ask him, or someone ask him, if he knows the difference between a study and the scientific method?
Your independent variable is the cause, has to be able to manipulate the effect. That's what you observe.
According to this, astronomy isn't even a science because the researcher
That's correct. Science is not.
Correct.
That's correct.
isn't manipulating an independent variable.
That's correct. It doesn't have a
done.
hypothesis, and the scientific method requires a hypothesis. The scientific method is hypothesis-based. That's the essence of science. If it doesn't have that, then it's not science.
But again, didn't he just agree to that? Didn't he just call it observational?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
That
No,
causes
what he
some
did,
effect.
what he did was, because John caught it and corrected him. Yeah, he said observational science, which was a misnomer. Yeah, what he actually meant was observational studies, which is what I was on about blue tick reading patterns and stuff, and how Refracted described it. It's a very different thing, but he's putting astronomy, observational studies into the bracket of science. Pseudoscience.
I think John, QE called it a clerical error. He's made a clerical error. His categorization.
No, it's a composition fallacy.
But well, if he doesn't know the difference between a study and science, not to say that it's not a fallacy the way he presented it, but it just complete ignorance on his part, then, isn't it?
I'd agree. I don't think that's deception there. I think that is ignorance there. He actually thinks that's science. Look at how aghast he is with regards to astronomy. And by that, they don't even think this is his science. Yeah, that's a belief he's got, isn't it?
To happen.
But
I would say if your definition of science doesn't include astronomy, that's more of a problem with your...
If your definition of science... I couldn't give a crap what anybody's definition of science. It's just what is the definition of science and the scientific method. The scientific method involves hypothesis construction. It doesn't involve just having a look at stuff.
Your definition, not with astronomy. Another tactic I've seen is an argument from incredulity. Do you really think X, Y, and Z happen? Well, just because something seems amazing doesn't mean that it's automatically false.
No, but if you're the claimant, you have to prove that it's true.
Imagine there were radio wave deniers who said something like this. Do you actually think there are invisible radio waves coming from your phone, that your voice can be converted into mathematical constructs of ones and zeros, and that you can carry on a conversation with someone hundreds of miles away? You've never even seen radio waves. You've never measured them. Do you actually believe in them?
Right, is anybody here denying radio waves?
What is going on here?
I don't know, it's just strawmanning us. Does anybody here deny radio waves?
That's what I mean. And even if I did, you could then demonstrate it to me, couldn't you? It could be demonstrated to me.
And my answer would be yes, yes I do. This feels similar to some arguments used by flat earthers. Things that are hard.
Feels similar? Oh, right. So I can just dig up a few false comparisons to how globers behave with a nonsensical argument and just claim it feels a lot like how you are a fraud?
Hard to understand aren't automatically false. It's okay to believe.
Just for the sake of it, just imagine I'd now detail how pyramid scheme works. And then say, that feels a lot like this scummy fraud. Reasonable? Just because based on how you feel that argument about how radio waves works, that feels a lot like a flat... What's my argument you made up? All right. Yeah, when I see pyramid schemes and scammers, the ones that go to jail, it feels a lot like this guy. Just feels like this lying scumbag fraudster.
Even some things you can't directly
Nathan?
experience yourself.
Yes.
Michio Kaku is waiting in Master D to respond to the observational science. If you could play that clip.
Science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. It's guesswork.
Classic.
Like radio waves, if you have sufficient reason and evidence for believing they exist. What about evidence for the spinning globe theory? Now, this video has mostly taken a look at evidence for flat Earth with some common responses, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but flat earthers generally do have responses for most of these kinds.
Flat earthers generally. So you're literally going to phrase it as a stereotyping fallacy then? Generally? I mean, generally, I find that globers are fraudsters. Just generally. You know, like you. But in general, they're fraudsters and liars. Just generally. You know, it's not a baseless generalisation and stereotyping fallacy. I'm just going to say that generally you're all scummers and fraudsters. Yeah, it's just generally how it is. Right, Chocolate?
Yeah. And then when we move on to the part of the globe proofs, I'm not going to get too much into detail about this.
Kinds of evidence. Here's a quick sample. Here's a picture from outer space.
No. See, that's a painting. That's definitely not from Narnia, because the sky would be a vacuum and this gas wouldn't be developing.
That would be affirming the consequent, Matthew.
Yeah, if Earth's a sphere. It isn't. This isn't a picture from space. We debunk space. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas that you're seeing, the high-pressure gas, you know, this tiny, tiny, thin layer of high-pressure gas, would expand at high velocity into all of the availability of volume around it. Because there's no containment. I know that you like to redefine what containment is, but that doesn't change the laws of nature. There are no exceptions to them. They don't change with scale. They wouldn't be laws anymore if they did.
Giving evidence for the Earth being...
Hang on. It's not high-pressure gas to Matthew. It's grapes.
Is this grapes? This is like grapes, right? On the outside edge of the sphere. It's not high-pressure gas expanding in high velocities in all directions, all vectors away from the ground where it was created. Because it's got a downward bias. When it comes out from the ground and goes up, it's going down. Right?
Being a globe. Well, that's CGI. Okay, fine.
Sorry, no. It is unequivocally fake. Because if this was a high-pressure gas in a vacuum, it would fill the space. Yeah, this wouldn't develop gas pressure. Yeah, ball isn't a container. You can't develop high-pressure gas next to a vacuum. It violates the second law of thermodynamics. Putting on your corked hat and claiming that flat earthers say this is CGI, when no, we say it violates the second law of thermodynamics, and all you did was say that it doesn't apply at a big scale. What, in the same way that level doesn't apply at a big scale, like it's used in your geometry? No, you're just a bullshitter.
Fine, here's a picture from 1972 before CGI existed.
I didn't say CGI, I said painting. You know, based on Andrew Collins doing super realistic pictures of Earth from space as paintings. You know, we've got footage of him doing that, like creating the same thing as this. So that's my evidence that you can definitely create this as a painting. One of the astronauts who's claimed to have gone to the moon, one of the liars, is shown doing it. Meanwhile, to actually take it as a photograph, as you're claiming, would involve a violation of natural law that doesn't change with scale because it wouldn't be a law anymore.
They faked it some other way. Okay, well, here's eyewitness testimony from the Apollo astronauts. Apollo was...
one of them was a hyper-realistic globe artist. He liked painting globes. So not CGI, painting. Like, by one of these guys.
The Greek god. Those astronauts are lying. See, they look kind of...
Let's clarify that. I'll say that without hesitation. These astronauts are liars. There is no two ways about that. They did not travel with their convoluted gaggle screw of lies about whether or not they can see solar corona and stars in the sky, whether or not it's pitch black or bright. All of their convoluted lies, if they aren't already obvious. And if the fact that these men who've just apparently achieved the most greatest achievement in mankind's history look like someone's just taken a dump in their cornflakes in this interview, yeah? One of them's a hyper-realistic globe painter, and all the rest of them claim to have travelled through gas pressure past the Kármán line, where gas starts going down into an area of volume that gas isn't filling. They are liars. There's no two ways about it. It's one of the few people in this argument I can say, without doubt. There's no debate like with you. Like, some of us might think you're a liar, others of us might just think you're a scumbag thicko. Whereas we say without doubt these are liars, and we can prove it.
Tired and don't look nearly as happy as I think they should be. I don't know how you could tell. Also, here are some parents that don't look sufficient.
Oh, really? Well, Richard D. Hall employed behaviour analysts to assess that video. And based on their validity, the behaviour analysts came to the conclusion that they were all liars. So while I haven't, you can seek out Richard D. Hall's analyst going through it. And he was somebody that was highly acclaimed, employed by the police as a behaviour analyst. He did his behavioural analysis on them and came to the conclusion that they were liars. That's a fact. That's what he came to a conclusion of. Now, I'm no behaviour analyst, but the police trust him and pay him, and he said that they were liars. So what do you want? Yeah, it might look like you can't prove anything based on what they're looking like at the interview, but I can prove that the space that they travelled into would violate the natural law that is entropy. Because if they are managing to traverse the gas pressure we're all experiencing, then they're going beyond gas expansion, beyond entropy. That's just absurd. They're liars. There's no two ways about it.
Sufficiently sad about what.
God.
It's not only second law of thermodynamics. I mean, you're talking Boyle's law, Charles' law, Gay-Lussac's law, Avogadro's law, parts of Dalton's law, the second law of thermodynamics, and Brownian motion. Or all, you either got that choice, or they're all false, or they're lying. Choose wisely. Thanks.
Stop, we're not going there. GPS works in the middle of the ocean.
Based on a flat Earth, Cartesian grid system. GPS, the ground positioning system, might have had an insertion of the word globe, but that doesn't alter the Cartesian nature of the flat grid system that it's based upon.
No, it doesn't.
I don't even know what difference that point makes, because you can go over a bridge every day, no matter what time of day it is, and lose service. What difference does it make?
Sorry, I want to insist that I get a response out of Matthew, because in this video, before it was given, I detailed how GPS is based on a Cartesian grid system. What he strawmanned the response from a flat earther with his own voice and his own ugly face was as follows.
I don't know how you could tell. Also, here are some parents that don't look sufficiently sad about what happened. Stop, we're not going there. GPS works in the middle of the ocean. No, it doesn't.
So when you brought up GPS, I point out how it only works on a flat earth with a Cartesian grid system. Your strawman response was to say that a flat earther would say, no, it doesn't work in the ocean. Number one, no, we didn't say it didn't work in the ocean. Number two, we said not only does it work, it requires a flat earth to work. So maybe you will respond to that, like not the strawman guy in a corked hat that's you. Yeah, because that's not a flat earther or what a flat earther said. I just demonstrated that. What I said was your GPS system requires a flat earth Cartesian grid system to work.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah, use a flat earth Cartesian grid system.
Well, even if it does, the signal comes from balloons or ocean buoys.
I didn't even mention any of the balloons. Now, it's interesting that you're talking about balloons 12 months ago. How ironic that we'd be covering this a year later when the US government seems fit to tell the public about the balloons they're shooting down. But what, 12 months ago, apparently flat earthers were stupid for saying that these things were on balloons. I wonder how this wanker feels now. So are we still the stupid flat earthers based on the headlines of the balloons with satellites on them that are currently being shot down? Obviously, it's just these stupid flat earthers' ideas about balloons and cell towers for the Cartesian grid system that we are actually respond to a claim of GPS with. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this didn't age well for him. Now that we're in a balloon crisis, apparently.
It's just stupid flat earth rhetoric. Not that we turned out to be right, and you turned out to be a straw man using clown who would be literally pissed in the face of by his own government when they show him shooting down balloons. So yeah, they are definitely using balloon satellites. You know why? Because space is fake. If they really had orbital motion and sky vacuums, they'd have no need for balloons. Because they'd have lots of satellites like they say are in space. But yet we say they're all on balloons. Yeah, they are. As is showing on the news right now. They are real, aren't they? Maybe you could show us some non-CGI satellites in the sky vacuum? Yeah, you see how you get on with that, my friend.
He's on screen. He's ridiculing it, but he's put pictures real pictures of the things that he's ridiculing, from balloons and ocean buoys. But they are actually pictures of things doing that function, the GPS function. He's citing, so he's kind of disproving himself. I'm a little aghast as to why you'd make I know it's biting him on the bum now, but then actually bother to show a real world picture of both of those things doing that function. Very odd.
Or cell towers. Gravity naturally forms things into spheres.
What, fourth dimensional pseudo-Riemannian space-time bending forms things into spheres? No. You see, these guys on Highwire claim to be orbiting in a sky vacuum are also in the second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum that you haven't in any way demonstrated by simply claiming that the natural laws, the laws of nature that apply always to nature, don't apply at the scale that these guys are in. Now, but we can definitely show that they're producing this stuff on the ground with CGI backdrops and green screens and blue screens. But they're definitely not proving that they're in a second law of thermodynamics violation when we can show that they're on Highwire using CGI. That's a fact. We can show it. It's shown regularly by many flat earthers and even non-flat earthers, people who still believe they're in a sphere but just don't believe the lies of NASA when they show green screen and blue screen effects, when they claim to be in an orbital motion in a place that doesn't exist. That's a sky vacuum that would leave us all dead because gas fills space.
Another false demonstration on screen. Even if we pretended he was in the ISS in space, that would be 8.6 gravity pulling it down. Even the ISS admits it's in free fall. So what you're seeing here is not an effect of gravity, it's an effect of surface tension of the water. So why is citing that? Is it because it's made us fear and his CGI image? But again, it's not a demonstration of gravity, that, even in his world.
If the Earth were flat, gravity would draw everything toward the center.
If the Earth were flat, gravity would draw everything towards the centre is a nonsensical assertion about a fourth-dimensional space-time bending in an Einsteinian pseudo-geometry. This isn't gravity. What's being shown on screen has nothing to do with it. It's CGI. That's provable. We can show how it is CGI.
Gravity is
fake. Been watching Vsauce.
Yeah,
It's a Vsauce claim.
Yeah.
Then why do things fall?
Sorry, why do things fall? Like gas? Like gas falls? Like gas go down, go boom, boom? Produced in the sky and falls down? Like rain? You think gas does that? Oh, right. When did you last fart? Did it fall to the ground? Did you sweep your fart up? You stupid idiot. No, gas doesn't go down. Why do things fall like gas? Like helium balloons? Like the clouds? They're falling, are they? No, gases are going up. You know, you presented some stupid argument about them having a downward bias. Oh, man, look at those clouds with their downward bias. The gas that created them was actually falling down, go boom, boom. Yeah, things don't fall. Some things go up, you stupid idiot.
Density and buoyancy.
Nathan.
Yeah.
Nathan, yeah, it's 120 people watching. Can we do a continued live stream?
We are doing a continued live stream. We've been live for 2 hours.
Wait, what?
We are doing a live stream that's extended. We've been live for 2 hours.
You're aware.
Whoa, dude! I just been through some time warping here.
Doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
I guess so. I have been having fun a lot. Yeah. Carry on.
Oh, thank you, Arwen.
24-hour sun is visible in December in Antarctica, which doesn't seem to fit your model.
Is it? Not according to Robert Shortman, who spent 18 months down there. Feel free to check out my most popular video with an interview with him describing the contrary to that. No, my friend. How long have you spent down in Antarctica?
Down there.
It's begging the question, fellas.
We don't have a model. Okay, but what about the 24-hour sun?
No, our revised argument, maybe you'd like to address this with an update. No, we don't have a model. No, that much is still true, but the models that do exist were all developed from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris. So you're going to need a flat Earth to develop a Haversine-based globe model, or any other.
That's a lie. It doesn't happen. But here are some videos showing it.
No, definitely not.
Fake.
Fake. Proven multiple times. So just go into
one
the
with
old
the
and
what?
dusty that's already been debunked? No.
Can I ask a question quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did the globe exist before the Habermas formula?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. The Habermas was a mathematical competition done after the concept of the ball.
Well, it would have to be because of the R value, but yeah, it makes a bit of sense, yeah. But it could be simultaneous. Anyway, don't mind me. Just postulate.
Or maybe run in reverse. What about the constant angular size of the sun during the
A constant, not actual size of the sun. That's angular size. Why is it that suddenly, when we're talking about the sun, we're referring to what angular size things are? Yet, in your begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator claims earlier, you had the same feet and inches value ascribed to a target. Now we're suddenly concerned about angular sizes of things. Why weren't you concerned about that when you were talking about targets going behind an Earth curve edge that we debunked with the black swan? Now we're talking about angular sizes. Right, what's angular size? That would be apparent size, not actual size. Sorry, do we make a claim about the distance to the not actual size of the sun as it moves from its not actual position? Or do you have a very firm, based on us moving around the sun, it's the name of your model and globe belief, heliocentric? That's us moving around the sun. This is your positive claim again, Dumbo. Just used as an aspect of perspective that's ignored from your globe maths when it comes to Earth curve.
sunset? If the sun were moving...
Sunset? No, that would mean it... Sorry. Earlier you told us that all the light was bending. Now you've got it setting what, going behind a physical geometric sphere edge horizon called Earth curve? Is that how the sun goes? Oh, right. So what happened to the we'll never see the geometric limitation hill in the way because of refraction, it always looks flat, but now Earth has got the sun going behind an edge that's a hill that's blocking the sun, is it? That seems like a bit of a contradiction. Seems so quick that you're relinquishing your debunking claim to be debunking of the black swan and now immediately reverting to suns going behind Earth curve hills. Wow, how thick are you? Didn't you realise that you're now reverting back to the sun going behind a physical geometric Earth curve edge?
Moving away from us over a flat plane shouldn't...
Why are these boats all different sizes? Why aren't we seeing the side of our own head? Why isn't this representative of Muppet Vision Earth curve maths? You know, the boat, building, or plane, or sun would remain the same physical feet and inches size in Earth curve mathematics when you see the side of your own head. Yet you've got them depicted here as getting smaller. I mean, that's definitely not akin to Earth curve maths. I mean, this looks more like reality. Earth curve maths have things that stay the same size. Feet and inches doesn't change in Earth curve maths. Why would you draw this?
Maybe he thinks perspective is part of his globe maps.
Thick. It's not. Covered that earlier. Definitely not. Why are you showing a perspective view when your Earth curve maths doesn't account for this? Your Earth curve maths calls this effect Earth curve.
Didn't it get smaller? It does.
Sorry, why would the not actual size of the sun not change in not actual size, and you're going to show that it does actually change in not actual size? I mean, contrary to the other globe fundamentalists that say it doesn't, you're saying it does, but who cares? You're the only one with a size claim.
Let's get smaller. Here, look at this video. No, that's just glare. You need to...
Like glare, we're not making a claim about what the sun does. You are. You claim it's 93 million miles away based on an R value at the short scale. You know, the one that you said would change as you increased and suddenly level stops being level, even though it's very much still level in all of your geometry. Yeah? We're not making a claim about the sun. Let's see if he has a claim that it goes beyond the hill that we won't see because of how flat it is, according to refraction, when you destroy your own geometry and bend tangent lines.
To use a solar filter. I've never seen it getting smaller when setting. Well, if it doesn't get smaller, that's because the atmosphere is too dry. Or...
Atmo what now? Atmo what now? Atmosphere, so sphere-shaped air 7/6 of the radius of an Earth that you can't measure. No, that's got nothing to do with how dry the air is, and everything to do with an R value. Atmosphere is sphere-shaped air, oxymoron, that leads you to assert that light traverses it at a rate of the radius. Nothing to do with how dry things are. Stupid idiot. Learn your own rhetoric.
Too wet, or because of atmospheric lensing that keeps it the same.
Atmospheric lensing? No, 7/6R isn't lensing anything. It's bending a light that doesn't exist other than in side view. You don't see rays of light in side view, but you can bend them at a rate of R in a mathematics that ignores perspective.
Size. And anyway, stop looking up at the sky.
So quit asking us how the sky works. When the floor is flat, you can test it.
And on it goes. I find each of these responses insufficient.
Do you? All right, well, try this on for size. Earth is measured flat. The maps and models, including your globe, claim from elevation angle measurements to Polaris that necessitated a flat Earth to measure them. Deal with that. See how you get on.
Therefore, I say it's most rational to believe that the Earth...
Rational? No, we're an evidence-based show here. We don't base our conclusions on your rationality. Logic, science, things like that.
is indeed rotating and that it's roughly spherical in shape. Finally...
Sorry, so because you don't feel it. Because of your lies about how ants don't feel themselves moving on the outside edges of clock hands when the rim velocity of Earth is 1,000 miles an hour, you deceitful shit. But you're just going to state your claim without evidence as a conclusion. So the entire video is an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy with a strawman claim that we start talking about how globes work when we make our claims. What a one-track minded idiot. You think that everybody making any claim ever is talking about globes, don't you, dickhead?
Finally, I'll leave you with this quote, speculating about the motivation of those of us who oppose flat Earth beliefs.
You know what fascinates me is this whole community of people.
Couldn't give a crap about this. I don't know about you guys. Don't care about this random flat earthers' thoughts about why they think that we've been deceived. We have. Earth's measured flat. The models all came from flat Earth elevation angles. Doesn't matter what this guy divines in terms of his thoughts of the motivation of people's deception. We've been deceived and we can prove it. So who cares?
Building your online business?
That's it. That's the full entirety.
Rest in peace.
Great job, Matthew. Way to snatch your own wig off, you dumbass cracker.
And obviously, like I've said several times, please let Matthew know. Because he's so keen to strawman us with what his hat-wearing counterpart that he thinks is a flat earther says. Yeah, now you've had some real flat earthers actually directly address you, Matthew, and your nonsense. So let's see how you get on with that. I've put his link in the live stream chat. Please go to his video and let him know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me.
He might be visiting your chat. By the way, he was in Discord in your chat on Thursday. By the way,
in live stream.
Just to let you know.
You mean in the YouTube live stream or in the Discord server?
Discord server.
Oh well, maybe we'll have a conversation with him. Oh, he knows his way in then, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see.
Oh, he'd be more than welcome. We don't bite.
I do.
You want to say something? I'll go after you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, he'll definitely know because I asked him for his channel link last week or 2 weeks ago to share. So I guess I'm glad B Rose was up on it. So I'll be letting him know. I'll probably even be playing this in 24/7 at some point.
What I was going to say is, the public, he thinks that he's doing something against us to hurt us. But there's so many of these exact same videos, these character assassination strawman videos coming out, that the public eventually, and I'm sure they probably are at this stage, a lot of them going, how come the same exact video is from, like, how come this group were told about, these flat earthers? How can they all be that stupid? As stupid as all these videos, everybody who jumps on the topic, Dave McKeegan, Professor Dave, Simon Dan, this Matthew Lawrence, or Matthew whatever, Weathers. How can, so it's like years and years of the same video just being made by different people, where there's all these BS corrections going on in the video and claims of science and trying to make us look like we're stupid or we just don't understand. Eventually, and I would say it's starting now, it's going to start hurting them because people are going to go, I want to find out if these people are that stupid, because how could you get corrected that many times and still exist? So I reckon it will draw people to want to know, as opposed to people going, stupid flat earthers, like they might have done 3 or 4 years, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Now, not so much. I think the world are going to want to know. And it's the fault, and the reason they want to know is because of people like Matthew Weathers. That's what I reckon is going to go on. They were going to hurt themselves, not us.
Okay.
All they got to do is wait for these guys to actually substantiate their claims, as opposed to saying the claim and then giving us reasons as to why the claim can't be validated or substantiated in any way. That's all I hear. That's all I've been hearing for 7 years. And now I hear it clearly when they do it. It's just tactics now. That's all they got. Yeah, it's curved, but here's why you don't see it. Yeah, it's rotating, but here's why you don't feel it. You can't measure it. All day. That's all they got.
Yeah, well, I reckon, Chocolate, that what's going to happen is someone like Professor Dave or whoever, one of these more well-known people, are going to publicly get embarrassed by a child. There's going to be some child out there who they're going to have to entertain, and they can't just attack. They'll be on some live show or some situation. They won't be able to just attack and cause stupid like they would be able to do with us and get away with it with a moderator. It's a child, so they have to give the child a certain amount of leeway and a certain amount of kindness. And what will happen is him or whoever will try to correct the child on something, and the child could be only like 10 years of age. Some 10-year-old girl just completely annihilates him on the point. And he just ends up looking like a fool. I reckon that's what's coming. That's like the kind of justice that God beats out. What you're not expecting. Something like that. He won't be expecting something like Professor Dave or whoever. They won't be expecting it. And it'll become an absolute laughing stock. Because that's how God works. It's like you won't see it coming. It'll just happen.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's pre and live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!